All right, welcome in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, 7 a.m., Friday, September 20th, right here on Jocks 94.5. We talk college football every day. It's what we do. It's what we live. It's what we breathe. It would take something pretty crazy for us to, right out of the gate, veer away from that. And this morning, we're going to take just a moment to do that. Last night, baseball history, Shohei Ohtani becomes the first player in history to go 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases in a game. Needed to get one stolen base last night, and this is how it sounded.
He was feet away from 49.
There they go. Throw to third. Beats him, but he got his foot in. The 50th for Ohtani.
So 50th stolen base last night for Shohei Ohtani. He would steal another base and go to 51. Now, obviously, would have a little bit of work to do as far as home runs, and Shohei would get it done.
The 0-1 pitch. Ohtani sends one in the air. Deep right field. He's in a world of his own. In 135 years of Dodger baseball, Shohei Ohtani, his 49 home runs, matching Shawn Green for the most in a single season. And he's one shy of the first 50-50 campaign in baseball history.
Well, Shawn Green, we got bad news for you. You no longer have the Dodgers single-season home run record.
For the cycle, homer for history.
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
He would add another one. 3 home runs last night, 2 doubles last night. Shohei goes 6 for 6, 10 RBI, 4 runs. 2 stolen bases in a 20-4 win for the Dodgers over the Marlins last night. They're now 91-62. Oh, by the way, they clinched a playoff spot last night as well. Greg, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this game individually with that much on the line for a player like Shohei Ohtani.
Dude, it's so funny because you asked me yesterday, literally, do you think he'll do it? I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't thinking it'd be yesterday.
I don't think anybody thought he'd just go out and take care of business last night.
Well, the funny thing, people are kind of trying to discredit it. Like, oh, well, the third home run was off of a position player. It's like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Did you see the rope he hit on that ball? 111 mile per hour exit velocity. Oppo. Like, he's just a monster, man. Like, he's the best baseball player of all time. And people say, that's what about Babe Ruth? And here's the problem about, here's my issue with the historical significance of baseball. Like, a lot of the stories about Babe Ruth and a lot of the stories of the players that played in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, they're all exaggerated. And while I think Barry Bonds, had he stayed clean, would have been by far the best player in the history of the game, he didn't. So he got caught up in the moment in chasing homers because that's what people cared about in the late 90s. So I think Shohei's amazing and really, really cool to see him capture that record last night.
It's insane to think about what he did just last night alone. But to be the first player to go 50-50 all time, I can remember being a Jose Canseco fan when I was a kid, and he got 40-40, and it was just like unheard of. And there was just there was nobody ever thought anything like that was possible. Here's what's crazy about it. Since 1900, how many 50 home run seasons do you think we've had in Major League Baseball?
This is 1900?
Correct.
Oh, like 120.
John?
I'll say 50.
We've had 50 home run seasons since 1900. How many instances of 50 stolen bases do you think we've had?
I don't know. 75.
3.
Almost 300, 297. Since 1903. I think Ricky Henderson stole 100 like 8 times.
Oh, you meant total? I thought you meant per year. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So 50 times the players hit 50 home runs. 297, they've stolen 50 bases. No player had ever done just that. This is what last night was for Shohei Ohtani. I mentioned 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, 10 runs driven in. First Major League Baseball player to go 50-50. First Major League Baseball player with 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases in a game. Ever. The only one to ever do it. 10 runs driven in, most in a game by a Los Angeles Dodger, and most out of the leadoff spot in Major League Baseball since 1920. Second player with 6 hits in a game, with 5 of those going for extra base hits ever, all time. Only the second player to ever do it. 13 games this season, he's had a home run and a stolen base. That's tied with Ricky Henderson for the most ever in a single season in Major League Baseball history. 51 home runs, you heard Joe Davis say it. Now most by a Los Angeles Dodger in a single season all times. 28 straight stolen bases without being caught. That's tied for the 3rd longest streak ever by a Los Angeles Dodger. Oh, by the way, Shohei also went career high in hits, runs driven in, and home runs in a game last night. Yesterday afternoon, I guess. Evening. So I'm with you, Greg. We talked about this back in the summer. Last year, I think. I don't think we've ever seen another player like it.
No.
I just don't. And it feels right now the only thing he needs is just longevity to be the greatest Major League Baseball player of all time.
But that's a huge challenge. I mean, look at what's going on with Mike Trout being forced to evaluate his prospects in center field just because of injury. The guy's missed 4 straight seasons basically with injury. So that is a huge issue. And when you get into your low mid 30s, like that's something that becomes problematic. But you look at Shohei, man, and I mean, look, you look at just sheer talent and ability. He's got 2 or 3 more good years before he gets into the mid 30 range. I think he's like 29 or 30 right now. So he's got some time, but there's no doubt he's absolutely incredible and is just a real joy to watch, man. I mean, he's just incredible.
It also just like he feels like he enjoys the game. Like he looks like he's having fun. He looks like, I mean, he seems like friendly dude, nice dude. I mean, there's all of it just kind of makes sense as to thinking about how cool this is and how it's happened. But it's, I'm like you. I thought he would get it done. I didn't think there was any chance that he would get it done last night. And he's able to knock it out and now become the first 50-50 player in the history of Major League Baseball. Just it was a wild day. So we went to dinner last night, and I'm sitting there because my son loves him, 7-year-old. And I was like, oh, he's one away, hit one. And then I keep getting these alerts on my phone, and I had to keep pulling him aside. He's throwing football with this other little boy that we went to dinner with. And I'm like, here's another one. Oh, by the way, he hit a third. So showing him the stolen bases too, and he's able to get it all done. It's just wild to think about, man.
Did you ask the little boy if Babe Ruth is trash?
No, that wasn't that friend. A different one.
That's still my favorite story ever. That just exemplifies first graders now.
Yeah, it's just kind of where we are. But I think you can make that argument. Shohei, greatest Major League Baseball player of all time, and you could at least have that discussion. And just, I'm interested to see now, Greg, what the pitching thing looks like moving forward. I mean, it's not like Shohei hasn't dealt with injuries. I mean, he's been on the shelf. Like, does he even attempt to come back and do that? Is that even a part of what he's going to do moving forward? I have no idea.
Yes, he's definitely going to pitch. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, his strikeout
I'm not saying he's
over
not.
9
I agree
inning
with that, but
rate is absurd.
Do you even want to risk it? Do you need him to pitch as far as maybe that means you don't have him in the lineup?
Because he now has to worry about a postseason. He hadn't had to do that before.
First time he's ever been to the postseason. I understand it. He's a dominant pitcher. You would think that you would want to. Do you look at like being the closer maybe? Something that's less stress.
Is that less stress? Because you just have to be available more often.
I think the longevity of a closer, absolutely. You look like Eckersley and Lee Smith and what guys did for a long time. I think you can be a successful closer for longer. Here's the other part. How many guys have self-proclaimed been better when they've come back from that surgery that he just had?
Oh, a lot of guys.
A lot of them.
And I mean, Tommy John, it's just strange. I mean, think about it. It takes a muscle, I believe, or a tendon to believe, like, what, from your hip or whatever? I forget where the
I mean, listen, my cousin played baseball in college and played in the Marlins system, and he tore his UCL when he was in college. And I called him, and I felt bad for him, upset, and he's a cuz, listen, half these guys are hoping this happens.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, no. Well, I'll be back better, man. Don't worry about it.
Well, think about this. So the graft is taken like a hamstring tendon. Like, that's what's crazy about it is, I mean, you basically get to replace. Now, you also have the palmaris longus tendon from the forearm.
Of course.
But a lot of people take the hamstring tendon. So you're basically replacing an elbow tendon with a hamstring tendon. All right. Sounds good. So I get to make my arm as strong as my leg, or the tendons in my arm as strong as some of the tendons in my leg. I'm not a doctor, but like, to me, it makes sense. Yeah, a lot of guys are not too disappointed when their UCL goes.
So Shohei Ohtani, Dodgers in the playoffs, 6 for 6, 10 runs driven in, 4 runs scored, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, first ever with 50-50, and just an incredible year for Shohei. It's not. By the way, it's not over. I mean, they have 8 more games. I mean, it's insane to think about the fact that this thing he could stack more on top of this ridiculous season. And by the way, 2 of those 50 home run seasons that I mentioned are him and Aaron Judge this year. So technically 48 coming into this year.
Do you really think, like, when we fast forward and it's all over, I mean, think about if he would have gotten here at 22. That's the only thing that always disappointed me about Ichiro.
We would be talking about Ichiro with Pete Rose if he played his entire career here.
There's no question. We would be Ichiro was unbelievable. And Shohei got here at whatever. I think he got here at 23 or 24. But had he come up like some and gone thrust into the show at, in 2019, or as a 19-year-old, think about just how significant his numbers would be. I mean, he made his rookie year was with the Nippon Ham Fighters, and he was 18 and was one of the best players in the Japanese league. So it's just insane to think about what would have happened if he was here the whole time. And then the even bigger disappointment, he might not have been mature enough to be as good that early in his career, but he played for a team that is completely insignificant the last several years, had very little help in the lineup, especially when Mike Trout was banged up. And it's just really a bummer that so much of his career was just buried on a franchise that's atrocious. I mean, it really is just really disappointing. I mean, think about how much more revered he would be if he played for the Dodgers his whole career, the Yankees his whole career. I mean, even the San Francisco Giants or the Houston Astros. I mean, the Chicago Cubs. I mean, some of the needle-moving franchises. Just think about how cool it would have been for him to have been there, as opposed to the Los Angeles Angels, which on a popularity index scale are probably 28th out of 30. I mean, just a bummer that his best years some of his best years were lost when nobody was watching.
It's crazy to think about. All right, so your HVAC system, one of your largest investments, this time of year constantly being pushed to the extreme. You can trust a Trane home comfort system to give you reliability and peace of mind day in, day out for years to come. Visit Trane.com to find a comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a Trane. All right, so that is our baseball talk for today. We will shelf that. We'll talk a little bit more about what happens over the weekend heading into the postseason. But we'll begin a Max Ball Friday with some college football. When we come back, Stanford Steve at 7:30. Jason Swain talks Tennessee, Oklahoma at 8. And we get to your feedback as well. Games you want to discuss, 800-239-9569. You can call into the show on the Buyers Right hotline. Text in 205-834-9450. Be a part of the show there. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Listen online, JocksFM.com. We're on YouTube Live right now. You can go watch us. Search Jocks945 on YouTube, and you can see us live. Back with more next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Want to get to some of the football coming up this weekend. You want to be a part of the show, 800-239-9569. You can join us there. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. We'll get to your feedback across the course of the show as well. A lot happening this weekend. I think Greg, you labeled it, what'd you label it? Sneaky weekend? Sneaky Saturday?
Yeah, Sneaky Saturday.
Slide under the radar Saturday? I don't know what you want it to be, but
Sneaky
Saturday.
A lot of sneaky good games.
What are your sneakiest games coming up this weekend? What sneaks in the most? The sneakiest of the sneak.
Maximum sneak.
Yes.
Illinois and Nebraska tonight is a good way to set the table.
It's a good one.
I think that's a really good game.
Yes.
That one does a lot for me. TCU SMU, sneak city. That is kind of flying under the radar. I think Cal Florida State is sneaky good on paper with what we've seen so far. I think Kansas State BYU, Big 12 after dark, very sneaky, super sneaky. If you haven't watched BYU's defensive line, you are in for a treat if you haven't taken a peek at that one. You have the Floyd de Rosedale game, 6:30, Iowa at Minnesota.
Okay.
That'll be on NBC. That wouldn't do anything for you? Yeah. Trinket.
What's the trinket we play for in that one?
The Floyd de Rosedale.
I know, trophy? what is it though?
In a pig trophy?
I think it's a pig.
Okay. Are you in a train yard as we speak?
Yeah, well, there's a gigantic train. Like, McDonough moved us to a different hotel, and this train doesn't just run during the day. Let me just tell you. Does not run during the day.
I mean, it's hard to stop a train. We know that.
We've heard that. Thoughts on that one, Cole?
When I was in college, there's a buddy of mine that was subleasing a room in his apartment that I went to high school with, Kevin Staninka, and that was the first summer that I had the ability to move out of the dorms, that Coach Trickett would let us move out. And so that you couldn't just go find a bunch of places like without a lease or whatever. And I could open the window to my bedroom, and it was less than 15 yards to the train tracks. And I'll just tell you right now, that was one of the worst ideas in the history of my life. Because like Greg said, that thing didn't just come through at noon and 3.
Exactly.
And there was a cross, like a railroad crossing about 50 yards away from the apartment building, and that thing would just stop there every now and then. And just the little ding would be going back and forth, and you'd hear just the engine just kind of purring back there at 3 a.m, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yep.
Might as well go there and lift a little bit.
That's it.
Get in there early.
Seriously.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's brutal.
Even though football season has begun, which means you better be stocked up on Dale's seasoning. In just 30 minutes, this ultimate grilling marinade will infuse your meats and veggies with unbeatable flavor, making every bite a game changer. Whether you're grilling steaks, burgers, or mixing it into your favorite game day dips, Dale's versatility elevates your tailgate spread from bland to bold. Don't settle for boring. Make Dale's seasoning your grilling MVP. All right, so you're staying on the train track, and
yes.
How's everything else?
Everything else is good because I'm very much looking forward to some of these games this weekend that have a chance to be sneaky competitive. Like I've said, I don't think this is necessarily going to be a weekend where we look back and say, "Oh man, whoa!" Look at how good TCU has become. Look at how good Arizona State is. But this weekend's games are pitting a lot of teams against each other that will need that 6th win come bowl season. You know what I'm saying? Like Rutgers, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has been a massive disappointment this year. They're 2-1, but losing to Vandy in week 1 is one that is unforgivable for them. And Rutgers is a surprising 2-0. And Rutgers, by the way, just a slight dog in that one. Just a 3-point dog at the moment. Like, fast forward, this might be one that Rutgers needs to get to bowl eligible. If Mississippi State has any chance or prayer, and or Florida have any chance or prayer of getting to bowl eligible, they need this one. Absolutely 100% got to have it. If they're trying to flip the script in Tallahassee, they absolutely 100% have to have this one at home against Cal if they think they're going to get to the postseason. So there's a bunch of games this weekend involving teams that might not necessarily have a bowl trip in their future if they come up short in this game.
Also, I kind of wonder, Greg, is this the weekend? I'm not trying to steal your mojo here, Sneaky Saturday, but is this kind of like Separate Saturday where we're not going to know it now, but we look back and say, man, that when BYU got Kansas State, like that's where things started to propel, or vice versa for K-State, or we look at Miami and South Florida, like we already think the world of Miami right now, but this could be a tough one for them. And do we think different? Missouri has a little bit of a tricky game. Utah, Oak State. What if that's a one-loss team at the end of the season? We could point back to, man, that was a great win in Stillwater for the Utes. Like if they don't get that one, do they have this kind of a season? Louisville, Georgia Tech maybe could be that for either of those. Is this the game that USC kind of puts themselves on the map where they make people real believers of what they are? So I think
there's a lot of those.
Yeah, some of those kind of games where, I mean, the one you mentioned tonight, like, is this the one? I think whoever it is, especially if it's a convincing win, this will be the game that a lot of people start paying attention to Nebraska, Illinois, and say, all right, that might be a team that we need to really be talking about later in the season.
Dude, look at Nebraska's schedule. Like, do me a favor, look at Nebraska's schedule, and I don't want to get like too far out over our skis. But look at their schedule and tell me 10-2 is not possible, assuming they get this one this week.
It's totally fair.
Like at Ohio State, at SC. We could, just saying, in victory tonight, which is likely, they're a healthy favorite north of a touchdown. In victory tonight, Nebraska is staring at the possibility of a 10-2 season and an outside shot at an at-large playoff berth. Get comfortable with that, America, because that might sound crazy, but it is 100% a realistic possibility. They will be an underdog more than likely just twice this season. Once at Ohio State, where I don't think anyone anticipates them going into Columbus and getting a dub, and once on the road at SC. That is a pretty wild thought when you think about where this program's been the last few years. They haven't been to a bowl game in 7 years. And here we are talking about a playoff spot potentially. It could happen. It really could.
Absolutely. All right, so a lot more to get to across the course of the show today. When we come back, Stanford Steve going to be with us. He'll give us his picks for the weekend. We've told you there are a couple of games that I just think maybe the wrong team's favored. Point blank, we'll ask Stanford Steve about a couple of those. When we come back, first I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. You guys have heard me talking about getting healthier and how you can do that and how Game Day Men's Health can help you do that. It's easy. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All you got to do is fill out now and set up your free consultation. What comes with that? They're going to give you a free testosterone test and a free PSA test. You're going to have a baseline of where your health is right then, right there. And then they'll just lay out the options for you, what they can do for you. Weight loss, they have multiple plans they can get you on, try to help you with that. If it's low testosterone, if you're lacking energy or getting poor sleep, feeling on edge, that could be the effects of that. They want to help you with that as well. It's a low-stress environment, locker room feel, great people in that facility that take a holistic approach to health and wellness. They want to help you feel better every single day. Testosterone replacement therapy, many benefits that can help you with sleep, better mood, less brain fog, more energy, and enhanced muscle mass. So go check out Game Day Men's Health today. Remember, minimal upfront cost for the programs they offer. Book your free consultation now at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. It's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You see him right there at the bottom of the YouTube feed each and every morning. Back with Stanford Steve next on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Welcome back, McElroy and Kublik in the morning, 8:31 here Eastern time, where I am. I am currently in Clemson, South Carolina. Cole back in Birmingham, heading on the road, hopefully tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever he ends up going. I know is going to be a great game for him to go see them up close and personal. Tell you a little bit about our friends at Atlas Senior Living. To sign up for the Atlas Football Pool, visit atlasseniorliving.com and click on the football banner. Last week, the resident winner was Louisa Robinson from Madison at the Range in Madison, Alabama, and the public pool winner was Caroline Waldrop. So I want to give a shout out to those winners. You can always go and fill out the Atlas Football Pool where you can be eligible for a $200 Amazon gift card if you can pick winners. And to help us do that every week, we welcome on our friend Stanford Steve, who joins us courtesy of our friends at Atlas Senior Living. Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing. I just want to congratulate Cole on all his new thousands and thousands and thousands of followers after going on PMT. And there's a rumor out there that he sent a personal DM to every one of his new followers, sending a thank you for following him. Is that true?
Yes, spent all day yesterday doing that. Thank you, because I need more people telling me how terrible I am and telling me how much you hate me for saying that Ohio State's defense is solid. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, you got to focus on the important things here.
Hey, Steve, quickly before we get to these games, Shohei, greatest baseball player of all time?
Oof. I was texting with Kirchen because that's my man. He's got all the goods on that. I forgot how he said it. But Willie Mays is the greatest of all time. Shohei has the biggest wow factor of all time. And being a Mets fan and not being able to see Lindor play for the last week, I thought he's had an unbelievable season. Would point out, I know Greg's a Dodgers guy, Shohei did just DH this year. So would he be able to do 50-50 while he was playing the field or pitching as he normally does? That's what I want to see in 2025 to see how he backs it up. But no, it's incredible. Every time he's must-watch TV. Every time he takes the plate, it's been nuts what he's done. It was seamless. That when Betts got hurt, they put him in the leadoff spot, and they might be better that way. So
yeah. He's got like 20 things he's done this year that have never been done out of the leadoff spot before. It's stupid. I thought this Mark had a great tweet into the show a few minutes ago at Mac and Cube. Shohei had a pretty good month last night.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So
not bad. Not bad. The best part about it is, look, I think Shohei's incredible. But he just seems like a good dude. Like he seems like a guy that's easy to root for. I just seems like a good teammate. Seems like a good dude. He really does. All right, moving to things that are far more important than your nonsense baseball conversation.
My apologies.
Dude, have you ever lost a bad beat last night on a missed extra point in the third quarter? Because that's what happened last night. That game total between South Alabama and App lands at 62. Line was 62 and a hook because of a mixed extra point. It fails. So I hate my life.
Wow.
Secondly, moving to the one tonight, I have a real hard time handicapping this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so to lay north of a touchdown with Nebraska against Illinois feels challenging. But I do like Stanford tonight at the Qs. Do you have a feel or a lean for any games tonight?
I really want to see what Illinois brings to the table, Greg. I'm a huge fan. I love Bielema in these kind of spots, but it's because it's hard with Nebraska. I get it. Everybody wants to see them back where they were when Cole and I were younger and you weren't even born yet. Like, they were the program. And when you look at them and you watch them, they're obviously, they've improved maybe more than anybody in the country on the offensive and defensive side. The problem is defensively, they haven't played the best offenses. And Illinois is not the best, but they'll have a good plan coming into Nebraska. It's just a matter of when we get Nebraska in these spots in the last couple of years, what's been the problem? Turnovers on offense and then the lack of credibility on defense. So I believe they're improved. I kind of think it's too many points, though. I like what Illinois brings to the table. I thought it was an impressive win, beating Kansas. I think Kansas has been one of the toughest luck teams to start the season. I mean, they recover that fumble last week where the ball's all over the place against UNLV. I wonder how that affects things for them going forward, looking at their game against West Virginia. But I think Illinois is the play tonight. I'm getting more than a touchdown. I think that I agree with you. Low scoring. Both teams want to establish the run. And Raiola, what does he do against a formidable opponent? That's what we'll see, and I'm excited. We're really excited for that matchup when we get it on a Friday night.
Safe to say Penn State, the safest 49-point favorite you've ever seen against Kent State this weekend?
I'm taking them. I took Tennessee last week on game day minus the 49 because I know what they're about and how that puts on the gas constantly. This is a different approach. I feel like Penn State will manhandle Kent State up front. You got a front row seat for that squad. I do hope they improve their center quarterback exchange. That kind of put them in a predicament that not a lot of teams can get out of, including the best in the country. But yes, I'm laying them again with Penn State in the 49. It's a bad outfit there with Kent State and the Flashes to feel bad for them.
Man, that's the game that we're all had circled there. That's the one that I know you guys were ready for.
Hey, most people shy away from 49 points, Greg. I think it's safe.
Tennessee and Oklahoma is the most bet game of the weekend, understandably. Much conversation around this game. The line is just amazing. I love it. It started at 6, started at 7, and has kind of sat on 7 and welcomed all that Tennessee money, and now to see it drop to 6.5, it's like, oh boy, run to the counter and let's play the Sooners. Look, you might like Tennessee, that's fine, but you can't play Tennessee, not with what the line has done this week and the amount of money that's on the Volunteers.
I totally agree. You mentioned, for all the people that know, that like when that amount of money is coming in and the line doesn't move for that long, it tells you how much Vegas really likes that side also. So why do they like them? They love home dogs, and you have a great defense. And I think that's the biggest factor in this game. They are great on defense. I expect them to play. They've been waiting for this moment since the announcement was made for the SEC and the schedule came out that they were going to get Tennessee as that first SEC game. It's a prideful fan base program, and they really want to show out what they got. But it is amazing talking to people last night, went out to dinner. They're super nervous because they've been able to rely on that offensive line for years and years and years with the NFL guys they've had, and they can't do it in this spot. And we know what Tennessee brings to the forefront. I just still go back to the biggest games this week. You look at Nico Iamaleava and Miller Moss for USC. This is the first true road starts those guys have had. And as easy as they have made things look, that it's not going to be the case. These are the best defenses they've both played, and these are the best environments that they're going to be in. So I look at Tennessee and how they're going to respond to some adversity. I believe Venables will have some tricks up his sleeve to jump out, or I think Oklahoma has to play with a lead to keep that pressure on them. And can Oklahoma, constantly make Tennessee in predictable situations? I believe they have the talent to do that. I really think that offensive line is going to be tested. I don't think they're going to leave Mays, the center, uncovered as much as other teams do. Talking to people, they could come out with a different front here. So I expect attacking defensive style and Nico to be under a bunch of heat, and that's the game. How he responds, he's been awesome, but I still think he's up against it in this defense, in this environment, and I do like Oklahoma plus the points at home.
All right, the people freaking out about the line earlier this week with Utah heading to Stillwater, 3 o'clock on Fox tomorrow. What's right now Oklahoma State minus 2.5. What has been happening and why has it been happening this week?
It's just what Utah's future, or I should say their history, has been regarding the quarterback situation. I mean, poor Pete Thamel, we had on every week of game day last year updating the Cam Rising thing, and it sounds like they knew the whole time that he wasn't going to be able to go. So it's not the most trustworthy operation with Utah when it comes to quarterback and the injury status. But now that Oklahoma State is 2.5, I look at that. I mean, Utah's prided themselves on defense forever under Whittingham, and Ollie Gordon hasn't gotten going. So we really get to see what Utah has defensively. Like I said, they play as a unit as well as anybody. Now you go on the road. I kind of like Oklahoma State. I think Bowman's been a nice surprise. They needed him. Arkansas gave them a lot of those opportunities to come back 2 weeks ago. But Oklahoma State's, I think, got the goods. They got plenty of veteran leadership. I expect their offensive line to be better, and they got to get balanced. Bowman's helped them out with his accuracy with the deep ball, which has been a pleasure to see. Gundy likes to be able to have that in his offense, but I would lean towards the home team. I think that place will be rocking today or tomorrow, and Utah is up against it. We're going to see. I mean, the quarterback deal, you saw how human they are without Rising. They did a great job in the portal of getting wide receivers, and all the word was that they were going to sling it around this year. And they come out against Baylor. He looks great, and then he gets hurt, and then Baylor shuts the door on him. And then they played a bad Utah State team last week. So I like the Pokes at home. It's always a good home team, and I think Gundy's team is ready for this one.
I really like BYU this week. Another home dog. Kansas State, everybody and their brothers all over Kansas State after the performance last week. Like, I think that's one where you can feel good about it. I would think everybody is probably playing Kansas State thinking, oh, BYU stinks, all this other stuff. Think again. That's one that I like. Another one I like, I just having a little bit tougher time with this one. I really like Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's a winner. Everyone thinks Arizona State's good. Yes. They're not. Texas Tech's bounce back performance last week has me feeling real good about them. I like Baylor over Colorado. Needless to say, I love the card this week. It's an absolute send type of card. And then lastly, Michigan SC. I'm having a tough time with this one, not going to lie, because I've seen the corners opposite Will Johnson, and I'm underwhelmed. I don't think Michigan has good cover guys. I really don't. And I don't know if they can rush the passer with the same level of intensity that they've rushed the passer with in the past. Their sack rate's 3%. Last year, or from 21 to 23, it was 8%. So they're not forcing negative plays. They're not getting teams behind the sticks, and they're not as disruptive as they were. So you can't cover and you can't disrupt. Tell me why I shouldn't be laying the points with SC on the road.
That's what I've gotten to. I thought this was a monster spot, and this a lot like the Oklahoma-Tennessee game, Greg. I mean, these books put out games of the year lines, and before the season, Michigan in this game was an 8.5-point favorite. And now you've seen what they put on tape. And, I really think they missed the guy like Sainer still in the back end. He was the quarterback back there. He always had guys on the same page. And when you watch Michigan, it's every DB's favorite thing to do when something bad happens. They look at their other guy. And so it's really hard to tell who's not communicating or who's not doing what they're supposed to do because there's a lot of finger pointing going on. And I thought Fresno did a great job going at Will Johnson the first week. And then Texas, with their versatility, with Helm running wild on the tight end position, really opened things up for the guys. I think they have great route runners. So SC has talent. I don't think they're as deep as Texas at the wide receiver position, but this one's about Miller Moss. If he's that good, I mean, it's again, I keep going back to Nico because they fall in that category. Their quarterback played great in their bowl game. Their head coach is back. They got some momentum going, but we're going to see what they actually have. I'm more curious in the defense for SC because they're going to have to line up for 60, and this is going to be a buckle-up game. Everybody remembers Michigan last year when they went to Penn State and they didn't throw the ball once in the second half. That's what you're going to get from Michigan, I believe, with Alex Orji. And now you're going to get a lot more quarterback run involved. So how is SC going to be able to handle that? Michigan's not great up front, which we haven't been able to say for a couple of years. But, yeah, I mean, again, why is that line not moved, getting more points, knowing how much money's coming in on SC? I'm with you. I still think Michigan – I mean, there's plenty of pride in that program. I expect them to play as rejuvenated as anybody, and I'm just not there with SC yet because I haven't seen them under duress. They played great against LSU, but watching LSU in person last week, Michigan's defense still brings a lot more problems than LSU's defense is. So it's on Miller Moss. If he plays great, SC's going to win. but I just want to see it first.
All right, Steve, quickly, we got to let you run. You tell me, is the correct team favored? Florida State -2.5 against Cal.
Oh, I'm I can't believe I say I'm taking Florida State because somebody knows something I don't. Why they're favored? I sent out while Cal was playing last Saturday night. Like, I thought they should be favored, and then it comes out, and again, it hasn't moved all week. So,
all right.
Florida State last stand. We'll see what they got.
Virginia Tech is -3.5 welcoming Rutgers.
Yeah, I think so because of home field. I think it's a pick'em game. So I would I like Rutgers, but I look at as Virginia Tech being the home team, so that's why they're favored by that.
Right. And then West Virginia -2 welcoming Kansas.
No, I think Kansas is the play there. Again, I mentioned it before. If they recover that fumble against UNLV and they win that game, I think the line's flipped. So I think you're getting Kansas at a discounted price.
Perfect. Steve, great stuff, man. Thanks for the time. We'll catch up next week.
All right. Say hi to all your new followers.
I'm going to go talk to them today. I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
Atlas Senior Living, serving seniors across the South with locations all throughout the South. The entire SEC footprint is accounted for when you look at Atlas Senior Living. They also have now added a newest addition, Birmingham at Monarch Grove Greystone. So go check them out, Atlas Senior Living, ATLAS seniorliving.com. Click on the football banner and join the pool so you can get $200 Amazon gift card. Once again, shout out to Louisa Robinson and Caroline Waldrop, who brought home the bacon last week in victory against the spread. ATLAS seniorliving.com.
We're going to try to bring home the bacon in our next segment right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. I see you took that theme from Tuesday and just went with it for the rest of the week.
No. I mean, I played Van Halen earlier.
What is this, Seether?
This is Tool, so more or less.
Sorry. I was close, I feel like. Right there. All right. We get to our top 3 at this time each and every day on Jocks 94.5, 7:51 a.m. Friday, September 20th. Greg McElroy is in Clemson, South Carolina. We're in studio here in Birmingham, Alabama. Damian, what's on tap for your top 3 today?
Every September 20th, we celebrate these important days. We have a National Fried Rice Day.
Yeah, I guess.
Not against it.
National Queso Day.
Hand in hand. Perfect.
It's also,
I just saw on television, it's National Pepperoni Pizza Day. So, like,
exactly.
what are we just trying to, is this basically the Epcot Center of food of days?
Absolutely.
It's like you can eat in every country?
I mean, it could be worse.
Oh, no, I'm not mad at any of those. I've never had them together, but I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
Your certain pizza joints crust in queso, that might be good. I'm just saying.
That doesn't sound bad
I might
at
try
all.
that. Yeah, I'll go for that.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
Queso, not bad on a lot, by the way.
No, you're not wrong.
I mean,
I
might eat Lucky Charms with queso. I mean, I don't care.
I think that might.
Yeah.
I don't think you taste the Lucky Charms. So what?
What's the point?
Be like my kid and just use the same chip the whole time.
Oh, but no, since you brought up National Pepperoni Pizza Day, what are your top 3 pizzas?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Number 1 is Pequod's in Chicago. It's not even close. It is the greatest pizza that I've ever had in my life. Number 2, rest in peace, New York Pizza in Homewood.
Still holds a place.
It's so good that it's no longer in business.
Still holds a place.
I don't care. That's their problem, not mine.
Oh, it's just the absolute best. It's so good, guys. You got to go check this place
Don't feel
out.
like you normally would have debated that either, because I know you think it's amazing. Or was.
I don't. My wife did. I thought it was
great.
overrated.
Good for you.
Disrespect.
I like many others, clearly, because it's no longer there. It's been now replaced with, what? What's in there now? Odie's?
Slice is in there now.
Oof,
Yeah.
Got him.
Culture shock.
It's a little different, but Slice solid also.
Meredith just texted me, New York pizza is the GOAT.
See?
Yeah.
R.I.P. But hey,
At least somebody in your house is smart. We thought it was you. We were wrong.
Didn't really think it was him, though.
God, number 3. I don't think anything else really matters compared to those two because they're not close, honestly.
it's a separation.
I love how you got Pequod's, who's it's nationally relevant, and then you have some hole in the wall shack in Homewood that's now closed its doors. I can berate and attack. They're no longer.
Listen, I have an army of people that if we can get the rights to the name and the recipe, we'll get that place back in business tomorrow.
Baby.
Wow.
But we just cannot seem to make that happen for some
Homewood's
reason.
finest.
Coalition of the willing.
We got a game tomorrow.
There are some stubborn individuals on the other side of that don't want that to happen. I, on the other hand, would be glad to make that happen, along with many others.
It's amazing that they weren't able to make
one
it work.
about a 14-year NFL veteran who's ready to go with it.
That baby.
What would number 3 be? I'm just trying to think of what really sticks out.
OG Pizza.
Sbarro.
OG Pizza.
No, Sbarro's meh. OG Pizza Hut was good back in the day. Now I'm just going to tell you, that ripped a long time ago.
Little Caesars.
Never was even close to the top 3. Not one single time.
Back in the day,
On
in
your
the early 80s.
pocketbook, it was.
Exactly.
Because
Not that I've ever carried a pocketbook.
They basically came in a
pocketbook.
big version of the those paper things that the Reese's eggs come in. They came in a long version. You got 2 of them.
Oh.
Worth it.
The little ruffled paper thing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's amazing.
With Dr. Paper on top of it.
I got nothing for number 3. So you guys go ahead.
Gregory?
I really like the Chicago deep dish pizza, but I couldn't eat it very often. It'd have to be, once in a blue moon. So I think that's probably the toughest. I'll just say Geno's there or Pequod's. Either one are the same.
Geno's.
They're kind of the same. They're the same.
They're not the same.
Pequod's has burnt crust. That's the only difference. Giordano's, any of them.
Is Geno's
Pequod's also not as runny as the other ones.
Is Geno's like the Pearl Jam of?
It's Geno's is like the.
They're all the same.
The Disney
They're
World.
all good. They're all very, very good.
It's a Breaking Benjamin, I guess. It's all the same.
I got you.
Pequod's looks like you left it in the
Nirvana.
oven for about 45 minutes too long.
Or is it Wu-Tang Clan?
I'm surprised Cole's not going Donato's.
Hey, Donato's ripped back in the day. Still waiting on that guy to bring us free Donato's. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, Friday, September 20th, 8 a.m., right here on Jocks 94.5. Live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945. You can watch us there. Don't forget to subscribe there. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill. A lot of different ways that you can tune in the app. You can go watch on the app, get the podcast on the app, and just listen on the app. Either way, all of those that you might need.
Let me tell you about my buddy Ben Heading of the Beham Realty Group. If you think about selling your home and when it comes to selling, you only want excellence, you need to give my buddy Ben a call, 205-568-2705, or visit their website at behamrealtyco.com. If you're struggling to get your house sold because the markets are changing every single day, you need an expert that focuses on adapting at half the time to make sure you and your squad come out on top. That's Ben Heading of the Beham Realty Group. You can visit their website at behamrealtyco.com or give them a call at 205-568-2705.
Before we get into some of the other games coming up this weekend, we'll talk Oklahoma, Tennessee with Jason Swain here in just a moment. GMAC, South Alabama gets a 2-2. Same record for App now as they win 48-14 last night. Gio Lopez, 16-24, 154 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, ran 7 times, 105 yards and a touchdown. Fluff Bothwell, 14 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns for South. They outrushed App. South Alabama outrushes App State 320 to 119. 320 to 119.
Not bad.
I thought it was the last segment of the day.
It's close to that. Yes.
Boy.
South Alabama, 135 points over their last 2 games. It's a program record, 87 last week. It's the most by any team in a 2-game span in Sun Belt Conference history. Most by any FBS team since 2019. Maryland went for 142. So second straight game they've had at least 4 different players with a rushing touchdown. They joined Missouri as the only FBS team with such a streak this season. Last Sun Belt team with a streak like that was ULL in 2005. So what do we learn here, Greg, is do we discount a little bit of the Clemson win against App and maybe not bounce back to Clemson? Is App just not very good? Is South Alabama maybe really good? I don't think we're going to take a lot from Northwestern State last week, but handle their business. What do we leave this game with?
App's not good.
Okay.
They can't run. I mean, they are stiff and slow, which is crazy. You wouldn't think that or anticipate that. Knowing App as well as I feel like we know them, they're just not the same team. It's unfortunate. It's a bummer. It really is. It's a major bummer that that program's just no longer what they once were. So hate it, but it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, I think it does have an impact on how you evaluate Clemson. But if you watched the game, I think Clemson's offense did find something in the game against App for sure. And if you look at the game last night, I mean, there were a couple turnovers and a couple of just bad plays by App in general. So
34-point
problems.
34-point loss, Greg, is the largest at home since, I actually think you did this game, since they lost to Miami in 2016. Were you on that game?
Did do that game.
I have no idea why I remember you being on that game, but I remember you doing that.
Thanks for remembering.
I mean, I do keep track of it.
It's a real great experience.
Gio Lopez, by the way, 9 touchdown passes, no interceptions this season, tied with anyone for most passing touchdowns and no picks. Anyone?
Hank Brown.
Most with no picks.
No picks?
Cade Klubnik. I don't know.
Toledo's Tucker Gleason.
Oh, so close.
Oh, OTG.
Lopez, also third FBS player this season with 2 passing touchdowns, a rush touchdown, and 100 rushing yards in a game. Can you name the 2 others that have done that this year? One is in the Southeastern Conference. 2 pass touchdowns, rush touchdown, and 100 yards rushing in a game. One SEC quarterback's done it. Nope, it is not.
Sellers?
Taylor Green.
Diego Pavia.
Whoa.
And SEC fans in this state saw him up close and personal last week. New Mexico's Devin Dampier.
The guy from New Mexico.
Oh, my God.
Jason Swain.
Dampier.
The Buyers Light hotline is you guys are terrible at trivia. Jason.
Dampier.
Yeah, I just told you. Yes, you got it now.
I know. You didn't give me a chance to answer it.
Well, you don't usually answer the questions. You usually sit and wait. So we had to move on to Jason Swain and talk Tennessee, Oklahoma. Jason, what do you look at that Oklahoma offers this weekend that could be most problematic for Tennessee?
I think defensively, they could cause some issues with going up against a young quarterback in Nico that hasn't seen a lot of exotic blitzes, hasn't seen a ton of disguise pre-snap. Seeing things move in terms of the secondary shift and move post-snap. He hasn't seen that yet. He hasn't seen it with really good athletes. I think that's probably the biggest thing, along with a crowd that I anticipate to be very hostile. Neither team has played quality competition. The fact is, Tennessee has looked better against that competition than OU, but OU still has a really, really good defense with Brent Venables, who's a great defensive mind, and you have to believe they're going to show Nico some things that he hasn't seen before. So what about the in-game adjustments? How will Nico be able to adjust on the fly and minimize turnovers? He's thrown some questionable balls in those 3 blowout wins, had an interception versus NC State. That was a bad throw. Another one that necessarily wasn't his fault per se, but I think if you're Oklahoma, it's about getting to Nico and trying to rattle him as best as you can.
I mean, what kind of personality does he have? I mean, is he a guy that can be rattled? Is he a guy that kind of allows it to kind of flow off his back? Like, you can kind of tell just the makeup of a guy in limited interaction with him. So what kind of personality does he have?
He is from California, and I played with a quarterback from California, 2 quarterbacks from California, Rick and Casey Clausen. Those guys just operated a whole lot better on the road. They love the hostile environments. They brought calm to the huddle, and Nico has a similar personality. I don't think he is as fiery as Casey, but, man, he is cool as the other side of the pillow, and his demeanor screams that he'll be able to handle the situation. The question is, can he protect himself? We've seen him take some shots. It scares me to death seeing him run sometimes because, he is, tough mentally, but he's not the biggest. And he'll continue to get bigger and stronger as he continues in the weight room. But his fearlessness kind of scares me a little bit. But he is calm. I don't see the crowd really getting to him and rattling him. If anything, the crowd probably could rattle other players, but I don't see it doing that to Nico.
Jason Swain joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, VFL, former Tennessee Volunteer at Swain Events. Can hear him on Josh and Swain on the Sports Animal each afternoon in Knoxville. I asked Coach Heupel after the game last week that we know that there's a lot of extra around this game, and there's going to be a lot of conversation about things from the past and his emotions, things like that. He said, listen, every opponent is nameless. Every opponent is faceless. Like, I think from a forward-facing perspective, he's handling it the way that most people would expect. How has he handled it in the building this weekend? Just his past, his history, things of that nature, based on what you're hearing.
Yeah, based on what I'm hearing, I mean, he's handling like another game. But come on, guys, we know it's not another game. It's an SEC game. It's going to be a hostile environment. Tennessee players are going to play more than a half. I mean, it's going to be a 60-minute football game. And Josh Heupel is an ultimate competitor. One thing I will say, though, his comment about nameless and faceless, that kind of seems like it's true because of how he went about handling business in the first 3 games. I mean, normally you see guys coach it differently when they're up by a lot of points, but Tennessee was still aggressive with onside kicks in the first quarter, up a bunch of points. And so if his team can kind of harness that mentality that Heupel has had, then I think this team is going to be okay. But Heupel has done his best job to kind of minimize the fact that he's going back home. I do remember 2022 when Alabama came to town, and the night before the game, or the day before the game, he's in the basketball complex shooting hoops with his son. And normally, a coach that's coaching in a big game like that, I play for Coach Former. He's not doing something like that versus Florida, versus Alabama, versus Georgia. But that example kind of makes me believe that, Heupel, when the game is bigger, he's going to be more calm, and hopefully his team is able to adopt the way that he thinks and feels.
What do you think about the run game? When you look at Tennessee and how they've been able to run the football, and I know it's a good defense, no doubt. They're a little bit of a movement defense, though. Do you think this will be a group that can get something going in the run game?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, Dylan Sampson is one of the best backs in the country, arguably the best back in the league. So bringing him down with one guy, that's really difficult to do. He has a breakaway speed that is, if you take the wrong angle or if you're not playing assignment football, he can make you pay. Tennessee's offensive line has been a little bit banged up, not as much as OU's, but Lance Hurd is on the injury report, is questionable. He was kind of limping in that NC State game. Did not play last week at home versus Kent State. Javonte Spraggins was limping a little bit in that NC State game as well. So there's some guys that are kind of beat up. John Campbell's been in and out of the lineup for the last couple of months. And so can Tennessee's offensive line hold up from a health standpoint? The experience is there. The talent is there. But can this offensive line hold up for 60 minutes? That's going to be the question for me. If they do, it should be successful running the football. I think Nico will have to be a part of the running game, too. A lot of respect to the Oklahoma defense. I think Oklahoma will have to worry about Nico running the football, which is why it's important for Nico to take as much as he can and get himself down and not get himself hurt.
Jason Swain joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline, talking Tennessee and Oklahoma coming up this weekend. The defensive lines look great, even though James Pierce hasn't been, overly successful, hadn't racked up the stats. I mean, I feel like he's impacted some games, and we know what he's capable of. I feel like linebackers have been fantastic. The secondary was a big problem last year. It's tough to tell because of how the games have gone, but what do you make of the secondary so far this year?
Yeah, Jermon McCoy is a former receiver. He entered Oregon State as a receiver from Texas, and so his ball skills, man, they're pretty elite. He's fearless, making tackles in space. I mean, he made an open field tackle against Joe Lee, the tight end at NC State, one-on-one tackle. And you're not supposed to be able to bring down a tight end by yourself in space like that without them picking up a yard or two after the catch or after the contact. And McCoy was able to stop Joe Lee from doing that. So he'll hit you. He's Tennessee's best cover guy. Ricky Gibson on the other side is inexperienced but very talented. This group is long. They can take guys in and out too. We've seen a lot of guys play in the first 3 games, not just because of competition, but Tim Banks and Willie Martinez really believes that they have more than just 4 or 5 guys that can go out there and play at secondary. Now, the question is going to be, can they hold up versus better competition? So Zach Arnold hasn't really got things going in the passing game. He can run it, but he has the ability, and they're getting some receivers back that's been hurt. That's been the biggest question about this defense. They've answered it so far in the 3 games, but this is a different game, and they have to limit those explosive plays.
Absolutely. Jason, we appreciate the time, man. Great stuff. Look forward to catching up with you again soon. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Absolutely. Big fan of you guys. Y'all keep rocking it, and we'll talk soon.
No, we appreciate you. Great stuff, Jason. Thank you very much. Good to see him on the sideline in Knoxville last week. He joined us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. We're going to begin to break that game down, kind of look in between some of the scheme, some of the personnel, what we think, kind of a little bit more of how that game is going to go. Before we do that, G-Mag, tell our listeners about B-Dry.
B-Dry has been serving Alabama and customers across this community for more than 30 years. B-Dry will get it taken care of and then back it up with a life of the structure warranty. This is the strongest lifetime warranty in the business. As long as that structure's standing, you're good to go with B-Dry. They also are the largest waterproofing company in the country, which is why you can believe that their solution will stop all 5 ways that water can enter your foundation. Go check them out right now at bdryalabama.com. You're also, if you get the job done right now, you don't have to pay $1 for 12 months. It's interest free. So go and check them out, bdryalabama.com, or you can give them a call and know that it'll get taken care of the best way possible with the best pros in the business. 942-1976 or visit bdryalabama.com.
All right, when we come back, Tennessee at Oklahoma. We'll dive in right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Told you we would get into a little bit of Oklahoma and Tennessee. Begin to kind of discuss how we think this game is going to go. It's, I think, by far the most intriguing game of the weekend. Even though Greg says it is Sneaky Saturday, this is the one that is not sneaking past anybody. 6:30 ABC, number 6 Tennessee at number 15 Oklahoma. It is the first Southeastern Conference game to be played at Memorial Stadium there in Norman, Oklahoma. Both teams 3-0. Tennessee 191 points this year. That is 23 more than any other team in college football through this point. Their scoring differential is plus 178. That's the highest through 3 games in the history of the Southeastern Conference. And they're outgaining their opponents by 478.7 yards per game. Not on the season, per game is what they average. That's the best through 3 games in the AP poll era. So that offense against this defense, Greg, where do you see sort of the hurdles, the obstacles for the Tennessee offense going up against this particular Oklahoma defense?
Well, I think Brent Venables has traditionally done a really good job in big games. And this I would qualify for them as a big game. They've been really solid at Clemson and early in his time at Oklahoma of breaking tendencies. He knows which games he needs to win. This is one of those that I think will be weighted a little more heavily, knowing that Oklahoma is unlikely an SEC championship contender this year, and in all likelihood not a national championship contender at this point of their program's development. It is of the utmost importance for them to beat their former quarterback, who was fired, and look good in the process of doing so. So if you look at national championship games, the games that they've had against the SEC and the non-conference in the past, they will break tendencies. So they'll show a certain thing for a number of games, and then boom, in the big game, all the things that you put in to play against the tendency that you've seen from a Brent Venables coach defense, all of a sudden they're different now. So their blitzes from the field are now coming from the boundary. Their 2 high safety looks are actually man as opposed to zone. Their 1 high safety looks are actually zone as opposed to man. So he does a really good job of breaking tendencies in big games, and that's what you can anticipate this week.
Were you doing the Nick Saban pounding on the desk when you were saying that? Like the Brian Kelly? I'm sick of it.
No.
I feel like you were pounding your desk while you were talking to us there. Like you're getting into it. I appreciate it.
No,
I like it.
I don't think I was. I don't feel like I was.
I'll tell you one of the things, Greg, that I'm a little bit concerned about for Tennessee is, and I'll kind of go back to what we talked about with the South Carolina LSU game last week. Remember, we mentioned Clayton White had a really good plan and all that movement up front. It wasn't just the movement, it was how they manipulated the movement, kind of keying and reading the nose guard, the center with the nose, and kind of playing linebackers backdoor. Like the assignments were off for LSU early. This defense is going to move all over the place. Like Zach Alley's not afraid to move. He wants to be on the move. He told us when we were there, he said, I don't want my D linemen being sitting targets. Now that does at certain points bring up mild concerns of, okay, do you not think they can win sitting still? But that's for another day, because Tennessee's not going to run a lot of inside zone and duo here. I mean, it's going to be heavy gap scheme with what they're going to try to want to live with and a little bit of inside zone. But that movement for this offensive line, how problematic do you view that for just Tennessee trying to get the run game going?
Man, to be honest with you, I think that is one of the most interesting aspects of this game that no one's going to talk about. Everyone's going to talk about Nico and the receivers and the run game. To me, it's, can Tennessee offensive linemen hit the moving targets that Oklahoma's going to be? I think that's one of the toughest parts of playing against Oklahoma, man, is they have really athletic defensive linemen. And while I think if you get a hold of them, you can drive them off the ball, but you tell me, you're the offensive lineman. Why are you asking me this question? That's what I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
I want to know, like, how hard is it to hit a guy that's moving at the speed of light?
Yeah, they don't. And here's the thing, that I think this Tennessee group, when they get latched on, they're really good. They do not change direction very well. The agility is not great with the entire group. I think that is something to watch in this game. I think it could be disruptive. I think it could be a problem. And if it is, here's where my next potential problem shows up for Tennessee. Now, they haven't had a lot of straight just drop back passes this year, right, Greg? Because they haven't had to. I mean, let's be honest. Like, how many 3rd and 8s have they had?
It's just there haven't been any stressful situations yet. And I think that's also something that you don't know about your team until you know. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to see that. That's why I've been a little hesitant. Like you said, like, how many difficult, obvious passing situations where they got to drop back and block them have they seen? There just haven't been that many. Doesn't mean they won't handle it great, but it just doesn't mean we know that right now.
All right, here you go. On 3rd and 7 or more on the season, Tennessee is 5 of 7. 7 plays in 3 games. They have faced a 3rd and 7 or longer and thrown the football. 7 plays in 3 games. So what I have seen,
that's great.
What I have seen a little bit of an issue with is those tackles in pass pro dealing with speed rush. Now, once again, has it impacted things? No, because the quarterback can move a little bit. Like he can be nimble in the pocket. I think he has great pocket awareness. I don't think he panics. And I think that helps a little bit also. And also, too, I think that some of the individuals they've gone up against, they've been able to kind of just run by the pocket and kind of just wash by and use a pit technique and been okay. You know, like I do, Ethan Downs and some of these guys off the edge for Oklahoma, they can get it. Now, I'm worried about them in some of the gap scheme stuff, like holding up against pullers. But if they get 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 10s, Oklahoma has a good chance to get the quarterback off the edge just because of who they have. And 1, the fact Tennessee hadn't had to do it a lot. And 2, I think if there is a little bit of a weakness that could potentially be exploited, that is where you want to go at this Tennessee offensive line. It's speed off the edge. But 1, you got to get into that spot, Greg, and not a lot of teams have been able to do that against Tennessee this year.
Yeah, I think that'll be really interesting too. And then also, I think you have a guy in the back end in Billy Bowman, and I don't put a ton into safety play. Like, if safeties are involved, it's because the quarterback screwed up, right? But there are some safeties that are just good enough to be able to dictate where the quarterback goes with how they align and how they can basically watch the quarterback's eyes. So I think Billy Bowman is one of those guys. I really do. I think he's that type of player. And not saying he's like Ed Reed, but there aren't many like that. Like, in my entire experience it's one of my favorite things to watch are safeties that can like take over the game. And there's only been probably 2 or 3 that I've ever seen. I think Billy Bowman at the college level can definitely do that. Yes. So it'll be really interesting to see how he impacts the game from the safety spot and maybe forcing Nico to throw where he wants him to throw. And that's going to be a fascinating cat and mouse game as well.
I would agree with that. So just kind of a little bit on this game, beginning to dive into it. We'll go to the other side of it. And I agree with you. Billy Bowman can be an eraser. Like, he can be someone who, and Danny Stutzman is also that guy. Keep in mind, the position that struggled the most against Tennessee in the run game when they dominated NC State was linebacker. And Danny Stutzman makes up for a lot. I mean, the amount of coming from behind, like shoestring tackles, guys on the perimeter that he had no business making that play that he makes. It's a lot of them. You don't fool him. And this is an offense that maybe some of the tight end inserts and different things like that, but from an assignment standpoint, it can be pretty straight up. And it's just a matter of how many you dedicate to it and can you get off those blocks to make a play. Stutzman can make those plays. So do you have confidence that Oklahoma can slow this rushing attack down with fewer numbers? Like we saw Florida do, 2 years ago? Or Georgia's been able to do. We know Oklahoma doesn't have Georgia personnel from a couple years ago, but I mean, they have, like we mentioned, some of the bodies that could help them be that team.
No, I don't think they can. Do you?
Well, if they don't, they're going to get run.
Well, but here's the thing. I think they can match up outside. Like, I think they're pretty good in the secondary.
Well, then they don't have to play with fewer numbers inside then. So
exactly. So I think they're going to be okay. I think you can 100% commit to selling out against the run if you're Oklahoma. I'd be surprised if they didn't. Now, you can't just do this and do that. I think you have to mix the looks. I think you have to disguise pre-snap, what have you. Do all these different things. All that's perfectly fair. But I also think there is part of this element where I think if you're Tennessee, I think you want to run the football badly.
Yes.
And I think you want to use quarterback run badly. I don't think you want to live in quarterback run, but I don't think you want Nico dropping back and throwing it 40-plus times in this game. I don't. There's just too many things that can go wrong when you throw the football in a game like this, in a highly emotional, highly volatile game. I think Oklahoma's getting their hands on a couple passes. I do. I think they'll intercept one pass at least. Because I just think they're that good with their eyes, and I think they can create that many eye violations for the quarterback. So I think they're going to have to sell it against the run. And if I'm Venables, I'm fine. I'll take my chances on the outside. If I think my guys can cover Brew McCoy, I think my guys can cover Squirrel White. And if they hit a couple, they hit a couple. But I'll tell you what we're not going to do is be giving up 7-8 yards of pop on the ground. I think that's how Venables will approach it.
Yeah, I can't do that. All right, so that's one side of this matchup. We'll go to the other side and discuss when Oklahoma is on offense. That Tennessee defense feels like it's for real. Do we know if that defense is for real? We know what Waynes can do for you. You guys know the mosquito control around your house. If you want that protection for all your outdoor spaces, you can still get it. Pest control, got that. Termite control, got that. But as it pertains to your yard, you're probably not thinking about next spring right now. But, Greg, our listeners should be, and Waynes can help them be prepared for it.
Yeah, they can. 866-WAYNES1. Use the offer code JOCKS. That's the offer code JOCKS, J-O-X, 866-WAYNES1. You're going to get that first month of Envirolon treatment absolutely free if you use the offer code JOCKS. So call them today, 866-WAYNES1. Go to callwaynes.com. Know that Envirolon treatment's amazing. The emergent, the pre-emergent, the nutrients need to go in, though, before the cold weather approaches. And by the way, tomorrow, first day of fall. So the cold weather will be here very, very soon. So go and take advantage of it. 866-WAYNES1. Visit callwaynes.com and let Waynes continue to create your happy place.
We go to the other side of Oklahoma, Tennessee next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, 8:33 a.m. Friday, September 20th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Going to run through all the SEC games this weekend. We'll dive into Auburn, Arkansas, give you a full breakdown of that one. Going to finish up our Oklahoma, Tennessee breakdown now. Before we finish that up, Greg, if folks are looking for some gear heading down to that Auburn game this weekend, they need to go by the pants store first.
Yeah, Pants Store will take great care of you. They have all the different brands that you would possibly want for game day, that's for sure. Whether it's the Bama or Auburn polos you're looking for, hats, quarter zips, or more. You got famous brands like Horn, Legend, Cutter and Buck, Antigua, Gentile. Nobody does game day apparel like the Pants Store. And ladies, they have stuff to get you game day ready as well. Head to toe, New Balance, Western boots. You need a romper, perfect dress. They have you covered. They also do clear purses so that you can go through security looking as cute as can be. Free alterations and gift wrap available. Zip on down to the Pants Store for all your game day needs.
All right, let's go to the other side of this matchup, Greg, when Oklahoma is on offense. We think we know what this Tennessee defense is. We know what they're capable of. We don't know exactly what it is based on level of opponent that Tennessee has seen this season. The defensive line's been disruptive. No matter how you want to spin it, the level of competition might not be great, but they've been in the backfield on a consistent basis. The Oklahoma offensive line's beat up and has not played great football. I do think they are taking a little bit more of the blame than they deserve for some of their issues offensively. Where does Seth Luttrell, Jackson Arnold have to go?
Blame.
Well, it's watch it and you'll see.
Haters.
Or you could just look at the stats and say, poor Jackson Arnold. Or you could realize that once he gets past all the quick reads, he doesn't necessarily know what to do half the time. So
why does that matter?
Well, because sometimes you want to get the ball down the field. But
why does it matter for you to be able to get off your first read? I don't know why that would ever be important.
Sometimes it's covered.
Just send it.
You don't say.
Just let it rip.
What would Will Levis do?
Throw it to the other team.
Yeah, throw it backwards. Yeah.
That's what he would do.
Too soon.
No, it's not.
Great coverage can't stop a great throw. That's my thought. I'm throwing it. Hell or high water.
That
First
point.
read. Yep. Pick and stick, baby.
Pick and stick.
I think their offensive line has not played well, dude. You can spin it however you want.
I believe I just said has not played well, yet receiving a little bit more of the blame than they deserve. They're
fair.
not the only reason Jackson Arnold is 2 of 12 on balls thrown 20 or yards more down the field this year.
That's disgusting.
I don't disagree with that. I think he's been underwhelming. Really, really underwhelming, and has had some off-target throws. No doubt about it. I mean, he's missed a lot of throws. And I do think that there is a certain sentiment that would venture to believe, this might shock you. Do you realize that his average time to first pressure is 2.92 seconds?
Okay, where does that rank, PFF? I don't know. What is that good, bad? What?
It's a good thing. No, that means it's proving your point. The offensive line is holding up better than you realize. Meaning the first defender arrives nearly 3 seconds into his drop, which is 101st in the sport, meaning longest. So if you want to flip it the other direction and basically count from longest to shortest, the longest in the country is UNLV. Miami is second. They are 34th at 292, which is not bad. It's really not bad. If you can't find a receiver in 2.5 seconds, we got problems. That should be on the quarterback. Anything beyond 2.75 to me is perfectly fine. You can put it on the quarterback. So I got no problem with you saying that it does fall on him a little bit because I think it's fair. But I also don't think their receivers have done a great job, but they've also been so beat up at receiver. I mean, Deion Burks is their only guy. And Nick Anderson, hopefully back this week. There's buzz about Andrell Anthony being back at some point, but it just hasn't happened just yet. So something worth watching there. If they get healthy at receiver, that could make a huge difference.
No, I don't think there's any doubt. Do they have to get the run game going? Can they live through the quick game? Can they live through – and I don't really include quarterback run in that, Greg, even though I do think it's going to be a pretty big part of the game plan. But the traditional rushing attack, does it have to go for Oklahoma in order for them to win this football game?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to run it for sure.
Part of me agrees with you, but I also think they know they're not going to be able to. So I think they're going to find ways to get around.
I don't know if that's true. I think you can catch. I think Tennessee's group wrecks a lot of havoc for sure. But I do sometimes, with their style, it does make me concerned that you can leave a gap unaccounted for.
Well, they're aggressive now.
They're aggressive as heck,
around,
and
no doubt.
I got a ton of respect for it. I think it's a hard group to play against. Guess what? All the same things that we just talked about with Oklahoma, Tennessee can do the same thing. So it doesn't mean that that Oklahoma can't get gashed and Tennessee can. They both can get gashed. Playing this style of defense can lead to you getting gashed. You just got to guess right a couple times. And I wouldn't be that surprised if Tennessee leaves a gap unaccounted for at some point or another. That's just the way it goes, especially on the road. These things happen on the road more so than they do at home for whatever reason.
Kind of sounds like you're leaning towards explosive plays. Probably decide this game, maybe. It's one in which Tennessee has been able to find those as well. And I think if we're saying that that's the difference, we would probably lean Tennessee in being able to find a few more of those than this Oklahoma offense would be able to. But that's going to be a part of responsibility defensively. Who does stay home? Who doesn't get overly aggressive? Because that's one of my things that I'm a little bit concerned about with the Oklahoma defense in general is like the flow. It's a little bit different from Tennessee. Tennessee more from an attacking standpoint. Oklahoma, the flow of their defense is so strong. Now, Tennessee's not a big misdirection team. They have some of it. They'll run same side counter. They'll do some different things, but it's not necessarily how they live. But yes, I think playing sound defense as far as being where you're supposed to be, not allowing opponents to steal yards, not giving yards away, is going to be massive. Tennessee has, by the way, not allowed an offensive touchdown their last 16 quarters. It's tied with Georgia for the longest active streak in the FBS. Longest streak by any FBS team in the last 20 seasons, 17 quarters. By?
Georgia in 2022.
No. Alabama in 16, Alabama in 05, Notre Dame in 12, Louisville in 14.
Oh, wow.
We shall see.
5. Nice.
All right, where are you going with this one, Greg?
I'm going Tennessee close.
Okay. Damian?
I think Tennessee wins by 10.
Would you define that as comfortable?
Yes.
John?
I'd say 2 scores is comfortable.
Yeah, okay. What about 2 field goals? Field goal safety? Comfy?
Hang on a second. 2 field goals, carry the 2. Yeah,
scores?
that's 1 score game. Yeah, that's a 1 score game.
But I mean, it's 2. You scored 2 more times.
If they hit 2 safeties, they'd still be behind.
John, where are you going?
Drop kick it.
Yeah, you could. You could.
Tennessee wins, Oklahoma covers.
What is it right now? 6.5?
Something like that, yeah.
I think Tennessee covered.
Me too.
I mean, I feel 2-score game, maybe 1 added late, but I don't think they'll be in control the entire game.
Correct, yeah.
But I think they'll find ways to stress Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma will press offensively. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, it's going to get them in trouble.
How much of this has to do with you liking Nico more than Jackson Arnold? Because I do think this is
that's usually how I base my
games.
picks is which guys I think are coolest.
I don't care about being cool. What does that have to do with cool?
You said which one I like the most.
Well, I just think I think this is a game, and as weird as it sounds, I think you kind of eliminate some of the aspects like home field versus receivers, what have you. You know what I mean? I think this game really does come down to quarterback decision making. And if Nico turns it over, guess what? Oklahoma wins the game. If Jackson Arnold doesn't hit some big plays, Tennessee wins the game. So yeah. I think this one more than most is on the quarterback's shoulders. I usually don't lean that way, but I think this one in particular does have that kind of feel.
No, I can see it. And Oklahoma takes the ball away. I mean, you have to give them credit for that. They have a knack for it. They know how to do it. They're good at it. Forced 10 turnovers this season, tied for first in the nation. Maryland, San Jose State, and Cal, +8 in turnover margin, tied for second in FBS. So they have taken the ball away, regardless of how things are gone or what the score of the game has been. And that's not just this year. That's basically under Venables, wherever he's been. I mean, it's kind of what they do. It's how they do it, how they operate. So I think when you kind of go down that path, Greg, here's where I like Tennessee even a little bit more. On misses, I like Nico better than Jackson Arnold. from a ball placement standpoint, I trust Nico more than I do Jackson Arnold. So if it's going to come down to that close of a matchup and that part of the game is going to be what decides it, I'll still lean Tennessee because I think Nico has a tendency to miss better than Jackson Arnold does.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think Nico has made some really nice throws this year. And I feel like there have been some close misses too, like you said. So I don't have a problem with that.
But
assessment.
the big thing will be, Greg, like you said, is he going to throw some balls into things that he thinks he's seeing that Oklahoma has not shown that Venables has completely reversed?
That's coming. I'm just telling you, that's coming. Think about this. So just in case anybody is curious, go and look and see the first drive that Alabama played against Clemson in the 2018 National Championship in Santa Clara. Just go watch the interception that was thrown by Tua Tagovailoa. And if you care to dive a touch deeper, go and look at how Clemson played similar coverage against 3-by-1 in the regular season. Like, complete tendency breaker. And Tua throws it right to him. And guess what? That's what Venables does in games like this.
Look at that 2019 LSU Clemson National Championship game. I think it was first 2, maybe 3 drives for LSU. It was just stall. And then all of a sudden Burrow kind of figured some things out and it was lights out O'Reilly. But it was different, so it took him a little while to get going. So, I mean, you make a great point.
New Orleans.
There. Yeah.
Is also in New Orleans. So try doing that on the home field with a redshirt freshman quarterback making his first road start.
We shall see. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll still take the Vols. We'll get to a couple of the other games coming up this weekend next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Greg,
Yes.
I have bad news for you.
What?
I'm not trying to get out over my skis here. Not trying to get ahead of myself. We may, it's possibly, okay? It's not a guarantee. I don't make a lot of guarantees on this show. But we might, possibly, maybe, good chance have multiple all-timers in our bad box score of the day today.
Let's go.
I'm just saying it's possible. That's all I'm saying.
Let's go.
There's a chance.
I'm
is
here
all I'm
for it.
saying. That's all I'm saying.
You can be a hater all you want, G-Mac.
There's a chance is what I'm telling you right now. That's it. That's all I'm telling you, Greg. Just get ready for maybe more than one all-timer. And one that the score and the numbers absolutely don't add up, but then when you hear a little bit further how it happened, it'll blow your mind. That's the last segment of the show today. So you got to stay tuned to that.
I'll stick around to the last segment just for that.
I thought you were going to stick
If not for that, had you not dangled that carrot, I'd probably just take off.
No. And
I told Haney I'm not working past 10, and it's 10 o'clock in 11 minutes for me. But you know what?
Yeah.
Since you dangled that carrot, I'm going to have to stick around.
All right. Now, one thing that I know you want to tell our listeners about, speaking of carrots, is Bromberg's.
That's right. Different spelling of carrot, but if you want to dangle this kind of carrot, that'd be great as well. Bromberg's is the very best. I've been shopping there for years, and it's been a great experience for me. They've set the standard in fine jewelry, watches, giftware, and the best in customer service. And they have a special anti-glass giftware event coming up September 23rd through September 28th. So anti-glass, which is a California-based that company that really creates stunning handcrafted glassware, and it's the perfect time to get kind of out in front of the holiday shopping. This is also something that we've purchased. We've purchased anti-glass for gifts, for weddings, anniversaries, and other things as well. So Annie Morehauser will be here in the Mountain Brook store, personally engraving pieces on September 23rd. So go check them out at brombergs.com. You can find it. It's really going to be neat. So reminder that you can check out that anti-glass giftware event on September 23rd. Brombergs is continuing to set the standard in luxury shopping experience. You can also shop online at brombergs.com.
All right, so when we continue looking across the Southeastern Conference this weekend, we mentioned Vanderbilt and Missouri. I know Vanderbilt has a letdown at Georgia State last weekend. A couple of turnovers, specifically early. Pavia puts one on the ground. Big advantage. They battle back late and then let Georgia State go down and score to lose the game. But Missouri's favored by 20, Greg. 315 SEC Network. It's still a Vanderbilt offense that is difficult to defend, can manipulate some different things. I don't feel great about Vanderbilt against Missouri's rushing attack. Is there anything to worry about for Eli's group in this game?
No, I do think Vanderbilt I think Vanderbilt have a good plan defensively. I think Vanderbilt's solid on the edges, not overly concerned about what I've seen from Diego Pavia going against this defense. I think this group on defense is better than anticipated, and they're going to have to be able to throw it over their heads. I think it's a secondary that would be a question mark for me, and I don't know if Pavia and this receiver core is one that can threaten enough in addition to getting the protection necessary to create the big plays that were created last week. So I definitely lean towards where things are, but at the same time, I think this is a game where Missouri kind of sharpens their sword, and we probably see the best version of them this week.
I was thinking the same thing, that if this is a game that I know people are going to say, well, it's Vanderbilt, but it is a better Vanderbilt. And if Missouri can come out and sort of impose their will in this one, I do think that people who have some common sense and pay attention to it might start coming around to Missouri a little bit more if they handle it that way. And LSU might sort of be the same way. Now, listen, you're coming off skating by in Columbia. A lot of things went your way in that game. UCLA is not a good football team, Greg, and it feels like it should be one that is overly dominant from an LSU perspective. But do you want to see them do some things that we're not sure they can do yet, defensively and specifically running the football in this game?
Yeah, I would like to see that. Really, it's more defense to me. Like, I'm not as worried about running the football. I just want to see the defense be gap sound. Like, I think their pressure packages last week were pretty good, but they continue to they lose contain too often. They're unaware of where the ball is sometimes in the backfield when you have, jet sweep action and things like that. Like, they're a frustrating defense to watch because they have good personnel. That's what I can't figure out. Like, they have good personnel, but they aren't sound. And they weren't last year either. And they had good personnel last year. I don't get it. I have a hard time watching that group. It's just very frustrating. I can't imagine how frustrated Brian Kelly must be.
I want to go back quickly before we go to break on Vandy and Missouri. I forgot to throw this out there. They've lost 27 straight against AP top 10 teams.
Ouch.
Last win was
lot or something?
Knocked off number 6 South Carolina 17-6 in 2007. Clark Lee 0-7 against top 10 opponents. Not only that, keeping streaks alive or finding a way to snap them, they've lost their conference opener in 12 straight seasons.
Oh.
Tied for the second longest streak by any SEC school. You might want to take a shot at who has the longest? Longest streak of losing conference openers. It actually makes sense if you think back to when these two teams used to play.
Oh, Kentucky.
There you go. Kentucky
Lost
lost
Florida,
18
straight.
18 straight from 88 to 05 because that used to be Kentucky's SEC opener every year. So, yeah, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. But back to that LSU game. I do kind of want to see if they can sort of assert themselves up front and be a team that leans on the run when they need to, when they want to, or when they have to. Because they got to it at times last week, Greg, and sort of it helped them, but it wasn't the sole reason that they moved the ball offensively. I do think it aided the passing game greatly, but I kind of want to see that. And then, like you said, defensively, it's just, is it still surprising to you like it is to me to watch this LSU defense, similar to last year, and just so few players stick out? There are so few wow guys on the LSU defense. Like, you're not used to seeing that. You're used to getting a D tackle, an edge guy, linebacker, safety, corners, and it's just kind of like you're sitting there watching them waiting for somebody to blow somebody up or blow a play up or make a play individually, and it's just kind of like, man, where are the guys? There's just not a ton of game wreckers on that LSU defense.
There's not a ton, but it's not that bad either. Like, they have better personnel, and I think it's as much just football aware. I mean, it's like, dude, the ball, like, they faked the jet sweep. Why are you still running 3 steps towards the jet sweep when the quarterback's already 7 yards downfield out the backside? Like, that's, to me, is the most frustrating. Like, I can live with not having game changers. Like, I watched Iowa, and there's few game changers on their defense. Very few. But guess what? They always know where the ball is, and they don't get fooled very often. If they take a step or two in the wrong direction, they recover pretty quickly. It's just, that's what's infuriating about the LSU defense is they're all over the place, and seldom do they know where the ball is, and the lack of awareness across the board is shocking.
Yes, it's odd for sure. All right, we're going to turn the page and go to Auburn, Arkansas when we come back. Begin to break that game down, tell you about it, what it is, what it's going to be, how we think it goes, who wins. Do the Hogs come to Auburn and steal one? We'll discuss it next on McElroy and Kubelik in the morning.
McElroy Cubic in the morning, top of the hour here, last hour of the week. Really a great show today. Had Stanford Steve earlier. I've gone into some big game breakdowns here in hour number 2, Max Ball, and Cole's already teased it. You can't miss the bad box score of the day. I plan on checking out, so hopefully you guys enjoy it more than I do.
Well,
But we shall see. Yeah, that's a lock. I bet you are. I'll tell you who is also dialed in. That would be our friends at Bill Smith Buick GMC. Truly amazing. The deals that you can find on the lot. There's a reason why they are the GMC Dealer of the Year. There's a reason why they continue to serve customers from all over the entire country. People are ordering from Bill Smith because they know, even if they live in Denver, that you're going to get a better deal when you shop at Bill Smith. Imagine having Bill Smith right up the road from you. Well, we do. That's the beauty. When you have the nation's best GMC dealer, that's from General Motors. That's not from anybody else. GMC has said they are the 7-time national champ, and they're right up the road from us. They are literally costing yourselves money if you shop anywhere else other than Bill Smith Buick GMC. Take the short drive out to Coleman. Go get yourself a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT X31 Premium Off-Road Package for more than $12,500 off the sticker price. You can get it for $55,000. Take the short drive. You'll do it. You'll be glad you did. You'll do it again because 75% of their business repeat customers because you have a better experience at Bill Smith. So take the short drive up to Coleman. You can shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com. Bill Smith Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
All right, before I go to Auburn, Arkansas, Greg, just one last thing on LSU, UCLA. We mentioned running the football. Do you think Caden Durham can be the answer for LSU at tailback? 98 yards, 2 touchdowns against South Carolina. We kind of talked about not really having that guy. Could he be the answer?
I'm just not sure yet. I think he can be a solid back and a guy that can be useful, but here's the thing, like, I don't know, and I'm looking at his profile, and I looked this up the other day. I was just curious how fast he was. You know what I mean? Like, I was really curious because I just don't feel like he was super explosive when we watched him the other day. Did he look super explosive when you've watched him?
Not super.
On tape?
Yeah, I didn't think it was like a problem, but no, it wasn't something that really stuck out.
No, he's kind of a, 5, 6, 7 yards in the cloud of dust guy. Like, he's kind of a smaller, shorter, I wouldn't say smaller, shorter back that runs with good pad level, but he's not a guy that I feel like is just going to run away from you. And then you watch some of his high school tape and he's floating, and then you find out that he was a 100-meter guy in high school. Which he just doesn't run that way, or at least he didn't when I watched him last week. So if he's that guy that has top end speed that can break the game open, that's big, but I have not seen that in college yet, on a college field in an LSU uniform.
Well, speaking of explosive plays, LSU defense has not been great there. 27 plays of 15 yards or more they've allowed this season. That's most in the Southeastern Conference. So that has not been great for the LSU defense, and something that it also doesn't seem like UCLA is really going to be able to take advantage of based on what they're doing offensively. 14.5 points a game. I think that's 126th in college football, so not great for UCLA. All right, moving on to Auburn and Arkansas. 2:30 ESPN. Arkansas 2-1, Auburn 2-1, Jordan-Hare Stadium. We kind of know what these two teams are. Before we really dive into it, Greg, surface level, what do you look at as, I guess, the deciding factor in this game? What has to happen or not happen for these two teams that will decide who's actually going to get this W on Saturday afternoon?
Man, I tell you what, it is, I think, very difficult to figure out who is ultimately going to win the line of scrimmage here. That's my toughest evaluation of this game, because I look, and listening to Trent the other day, Trent felt real strongly about their ability to run the ball against them and felt like they could move them off the ball. And I watched them. I thought Arkansas is pretty disruptive. Like, I wonder if I'm just seeing it wrong. Like, do you get the sense, before we move into the aspects in which I think Auburn can hurt them, do you feel like this is a group that can be moved? Because I felt like they're pretty disruptive.
No, they could definitely get into the backfield. But also, I think just holding the point of attack, because they're thin, later in games it becomes a problem. So maybe not right out of the gate, but I don't think they have a lot of bodies they can roll in. And that's where I think it becomes a little bit of an issue for the Razorbacks.
Fair enough. And now if that's the case, I can understand that as the game goes along. I just felt like watching them against Oklahoma State, and granted the outcome of that game was somewhat dependent on the fact that Arkansas had a huge lead in the game, and Oklahoma State was forced to start throwing all over the yard, so they abandoned the run a little bit, but still, I mean, I didn't think that Oklahoma
Ollie
State...
Gordon has nothing in that game. I mean,
Nothing in that game. Nothing. On 17 carries, it's not like he had like 7 carries. I mean, they tried to get him going, and he was hit at or around the line of scrimmage just about every time. So, looking at where things are for this group, I'm optimistic that Auburn can run it, but I'm not 100% convinced that Auburn can run it. And then more challenging in this game, I don't know if Auburn's going to hold up in pass pro. Like, do we have an update on Tutal? Because I don't think he's playing based on what I saw earlier in the week. Is there anything more that would give us reason to believe that he's going to be back?
I think he could potentially try to give it a go, but I'm not super confident that even if he does, he'll be, super healthy when he's in there. So yeah, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at it, he's currently questionable. Cam Coleman questionable. I think it'd be great to have Cam Coleman in a game like this, given the fact that Arkansas has 2 DBs that are potentially out in this game, and a couple more that are also questionable, like Jaden Johnson. So that is significant. But man, I don't like the matchup for Auburn. I just don't know what to tell you. I keep trying to find ways for Auburn to win this game, and outside of them being at home, there's not a lot to feel great about.
There's not, and like you said, with trying to find ways to run the football, that's what I'm interested to see how Coach Freeze and company put this together to try to get that done. This is not a group that you can just line up and run it. The offensive line is not good enough to do that. They're not.
Right.
And the tight ends don't add enough in the blocking game to do that either. So you can't say, well, 12, 13 personnel. We'll figure. No, that's not going to – it doesn't make much difference. And then also one of the bodies that you were going to try to use in some bigger packages is not going to be able to go with an extra offensive lineman. And without the mobility at quarterback, how do you find a way to create that space? Where are the yards to be stolen, so to speak? Where do you get defenders misaligned? I wouldn't be surprised, Greg, to see a lot of wonky formations into the boundary, some unbalanced formations. Like to me, that has to happen for Auburn to be successful offensively. Because you're going to have to find a way to get this defense lined up incorrectly. And listen, if it's just center and right guard, yes, I think Jarquez Hunter could get going, and I think they could run the ball. If you had 5 of those, you'd be okay, but you don't. And the right tackle, as you stated, liability in pass pro, not great in the run game. Left guard struggled in both last week. I don't know where they go at left tackle because Percy comes in and did do some decent things last week, but he just doesn't look – this is a different deal. I mean, if he's going to be over there against Landon Jackson for 80 snaps or 60 snaps, I don't feel great about it. But then again, I wouldn't feel great about either one, so it doesn't matter. So they've got to find a way to manipulate things at the line of scrimmage. This cannot be a game that's just won straight up by Auburn offensively. Now, what I do think they have some advantages with is, as you stated, the Arkansas secondary is a little bit beat up. Now, can you hold up to get the ball down the field? But I think that Auburn and these receivers could find a way to win some of those matchups. Now, we've only seen a little bit of Hank Brown. How does he operate against this group and different players and more pressure? We'll see. But moving the pocket, different formations, those things have got to happen. And so when you have to do those things, Greg, this is where I become concerned. How easy is it for you to get into a rhythm and stay into a rhythm and find that rhythm consistently with those kind of plays if you can't just lean on the run game? That's what worries me a little bit about Auburn on offense this weekend.
I think that's perfectly fair. And I think if they can't run the football to slow down some of those pass rushers, it's going to be huge. It's not like Auburn's like a great screen team, you know what I mean, to slow down some of the athleticism and to get this group going sideline to sideline. So I think they got to slow them down a little bit with the run game. They're going to have to utilize some draws. They're going to have to get them running upfield and take some of the pressure off their offensive line. I just think the edges, like if I'm Arkansas, I've landed up Landon Jackson on the right tackle all day long, and it's going to be an absolute mismatch in my favor. And then I'm going to tilt all the run help to the left-hand side because I don't think the left side's very good either. So when you got problems on both sides, on the edges of your offensive line, that's an issue. That's a significant issue. So, man, I'm worried about it. Like, I really am. And
it's
if
like
Hank
you said,
Brown can,
it's not a great matchup. It just isn't.
It's just not a good matchup. I don't know why. Like, sometimes people are like, well, people are all freaking out about Georgia. Like, Kentucky matched up really good against Georgia and matched up really bad against South Carolina. Like, sometimes these are just matchup-oriented aspects of the game. There are very few teams that can transcend matchups. Like, Texas is about the only one in the SEC, in my opinion. Right now, Texas can kind of transcend matchups, but last year, Texas is a far better football team than Washington, but guess what? It was a bad matchup with them in the semifinal game. So matchups are big, and I just don't think the matchups are very much in Auburn's favor right now. If this game was played on a neutral site, I don't think anybody would have a hard time taking the Hogs. Anybody. But the fact that it's in Jordan-Hare is giving people some doubt. But man, there's just not that many. There's not that many options that make me feel great about what Auburn can do outside of winning a bunch of one-on-ones on the perimeter, and they're going to be without their best weapon at wide receiver.
Well, and that may be enough, but you also look at the flip side of that. When Arkansas is on offense, Andrew Armstrong can win some of those down the field. Second in the SEC with 301 receiving yards. Didn't play in the opener, by the way. And Auburn, we saw last week, struggles with contested catches down the field defensively. Like that's not a strong suit of this football team right now. So that is even more concerning. All right, we'll get Damian John's thoughts on this game. We'll pick this game, continue to go into it a little bit further and around the rest of the SEC. But first, I want to tell you about Airport Marine, your boating headquarters here in Central Alabama. Listen, we got some deals coming up on boats here in the next couple of weeks. Airport Marine wants to help you with that. Bass Boat and Mercury headquarters. You'll find all the premier brands in one location: Phoenix, Skeeter, Vexus, Icon, Bass Cat. They're all right there at Airport Marine. And if you want to get set for next year, if you like just to cruising, if you're a pro bass fisherman, if you just do it as a hobby, they have all the different boats that you're going to want, that you're going to need right there at Airport Marine. Go check out the deals that they've got as the season comes to an end and get set for next year at Airport Marine. Pontoon boats, ton of those in stock as well. And you can go check those out right now at Alabama's boating headquarters is Airport Marine. All right, picks on Alabama and Arkansas, and continue Max Ball next on McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubick in the morning. Joel Embiid, 3 years, $192 million. He gets an extension. 3 years, $192. I'm telling you, we're not far off from an NBA player making $100 a year.
Nope.
Not at all.
I think year after next, it happens.
God.
Well,
It'll probably be like some sixth man.
If it's not, I'm trying to think when Bignana's deal would be up.
Oh,
and
boy.
Damian said during break, Anthony Edwards, he could be one too. If those deals are up right after all of the new media deals are done, that's going to be the one.
Well, they kick in next year, so if I'm them, I'm waiting as long as I can.
Year after next is when I think somebody gets, if not 100, close to it. And then that brought me to this too, Greg. Because I thought about this last night and I forgot to say it in our first segment of the show today. Shohei Ohtani, 10 years, $700 million. He's underpaid.
Vastly.
Especially for what he brings internationally. It's hard to argue with that.
Boy.
I was telling these guys during the break, Greg, the amount of I bet at least 20, 25 times I have put the Dodger game on in my house this year. And compared to like zero for a lot of years before that, putting any Major League Baseball game on. But like, because my son loves Shohei, like we go find that game if they're up and it's on, and we'll have just to have it on the background and hitting baseballs in the backyard, whatever, like they can come watch him hit. So he's underpaid. $700 million underpaid. It's wild to think about. So
not bad.
You agree?
I think should he go back to the table?
Yes, hold out. He should hold out for the playoffs. I want a new deal now.
Let's just be real for a second. If he was, sitting there and playing college football, he would probably have a new deal by now.
You'd at least have some extra deals. We'll pad that thing just a little bit, get you make you a little bit happier. But yeah. By the way, the Carolina Hurricanes, I just noticed, tweeted out, this is the last weekend without hockey for the next 5 months. Is that real? Not that we know.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Hey,
should I ask NC State since they play right across the parking lot from them?
Yes. Hey, guys.
I'll ask them today.
We'll see you in March.
Right.
How about that?
That sounds good to me.
Maybe even April. Maybe even April. We'll see you in April.
Don't say that.
Still be
Don't
Rangers
say that.
guy?
I just said
mad.
it.
People get mad when you reference games or seasons starting 3 months after they start. Don't say stuff like that.
Are you still a Rangers guy?
The puck.
Still a Rangers guy? Just making sure.
Come on. That's my team.
I got you.
Those are my guys.
You're rocking with
until they're terrible this year, and then we're out. Or until somebody else has a better goal song, and then I'm out.
I forgot about those.
If somebody changes their goal song and it's better, then yes. So we'll see how it goes. All right, Auburn, Arkansas at Auburn, 2:30 ESPN. I think somehow, some way, the oddities of Jordan-Hare Stadium come in. Here's the one part of this game we didn't talk about, Greg. Taylor Green, 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles this year. He has to take care of the football. 100%. And there were some folks that cover this team that were angry about how Jalen McLeod was played last week, being off the ball, and they don't like that. And I think Durkin was starting to do some things to allow some different personnel to be able to line up in different places for this defense. And part of that was an athletic quarterback last week, and you're getting an athletic quarterback this week. And guess what? The only guy up front that really scares me, I think Kieran Crawford can places, but I think with the try to find a way to pressure a little bit, have to contain the game on the perimeter if you let him. Over 2. By the way, Auburn's turned it over multiple times in 5 consecutive games. That's got to stop. Has to stop. And there are a lot of people that say Hank Brown's the reason that does stop. Okay, we'll see. But still turned it over twice last week. So that's got to go away. But I think they get a couple turnovers from Taylor Green, and Auburn just barely sneaks past this one at home. And I also think it's a lower scoring game than some people do. I think it's like 24-21 Auburn. So that's where I'll go with this one. Greg, which direction are you going?
I'm taking Arkansas. I'll probably go like 31-21 Arkansas.
Okay. Points there. Damian? How does this one play out, and which direction are you going? Total 56.5, by the way.
I think that Auburn's going to be able to put some pressure on Taylor Green and actually make him beat you with his arm. I think that's the key. If they can disrupt at some point during the line of scrimmage, and if you can contain Jaquindon Jackson in the backfield, I think that's the best recipe. And offensively, just find a way to give 2-7 the ball. Like just find a way to get it done. Get him. Especially with Cam Coleman potentially not being able to play. He's going to be your best weapon offensively and take the pressure off of Hank Brown. And I think that's the recipe for Auburn to win. And I think Auburn wins by 3. I say 27-24.
He's still your best weapon, even if Cam Coleman does play, because of how you can get him the ball.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go into high risk situations, which essentially dropping back for Auburn could be a high risk situation right now. You can hand him the ball, screen him the ball, pitch him the ball, whatever. I think he's still your most valuable weapon. And I agree with you, Damien. They have to utilize him largely to find a way to win this game. John, which direction are you going and how does it play out?
Auburn wins the game. Arkansas will look good, but I do think both teams will turn the ball over. Like you said, Auburn's turned it over multiple times in the last 5 games. Arkansas is no stranger to that. Green had an interception against UAB last week. I think that's why the game ends up high scoring because they're going to have short fields. But in the end, even though Arkansas has been on the road, I think that Jordan Hare magic is enough to allow Auburn to win like 34-31.
Yeah, it's
who's more talented? Seriously. Like I want to know right now, who is the more talented team?
I'd say Auburn.
Just on paper, line them up 1 through 85.
It's close, Greg.
Who's more talented?
It's close, man. It really is. Because I think
I know,
I think
which is crazy. Because it shouldn't be.
Let's just go through it. Jackson, Hunter, kind of they offset one another. I'd probably take Auburn's depth at running back. There's no question Arkansas is more talented at quarterback. Auburn is more talented at wide receiver, but Arkansas has guys that have played more.
Guys that are going.
Right.
Yeah, that play.
Arkansas much more talented on the offensive line and at tight end. Defensive line, coin flip. I mean, maybe Arkansas just because of Landon Jackson.
Yeah, you have a take over the game guy. I don't know who the guy is that's take over the game along the D line for Auburn. I think they might be more deep though.
No, they're definitely deeper. They have better numbers.
Which depth matters?
Linebacker. Auburn doesn't have a guy. I think Auburn has better linebackers as far as knowing how to play the position.
So I'd rather have Sorey than anybody.
They got nobody like Xavier Sorey. Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
There's not many teams in the league that have a talent like him. It's just he's got to know where to be and how to get there. Secondary.
Before last week, I would have told you. Before last week, I would have told you Auburn. This now, I think it's a little bit more of a toss-up based on what I saw last week.
Yeah, because they're dinged up. So it may be an Auburn lean right now because of that, which, okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
but
I'll give them Auburn. That's fine.
Like you said, it's really close. I mean, really close. So I don't know.
I think there's just an apparent assumption that Auburn has more talent. I don't know if that's the case. Because if you really look at how things have kind of sorted themselves out on paper, like people thought Arkansas was going to win 5 this year. People thought Auburn was going to win 8. And the talent gap, frankly, doesn't exist. And to be completely 100% transparent, I actually lean slightly Arkansas on talent. And that's kind of crazy because I would not have thought that coming into the season. So a couple things. And coaching, frankly, I think Bobby Petrino's, of all the coaches involved in this game, you can make a case Bobby Petrino's the best one and the biggest difference-making coach on either staff. So I think there's a lot of things right now that I just didn't anticipate with Arkansas. So one, it's a credit to what they have.
Yeah.
And this is not at all a slight towards Auburn at all. I just think Arkansas is much better than I anticipated. And I think this is going to be a tough game for Auburn. I really do. I think Arkansas gets it. Even though this feels a bit like a gotta have it for Hugh Freeze and Auburn, but man, I don't know. It's just hard for me to get on board.
Yeah, it's why this is one of the most intriguing games of the weekend because there are just a lot of avenues that have uncertainties that we think we know, that we probably don't know, that we feel confident about, but should we feel confident about, and then where the game's being played has a lot to do with it as well. So it's one that I think is going to be interesting. You want to get your thoughts on it? 800-239-9569. Get you into the show. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. You can always be a part of the show there. You can also text into the show if you would like. 205-834-9450. So kind of put that one to the side. There is an SEC game coming up this weekend that I don't feel like anybody has a good handle on, and that is Florida-Mississippi State. There are a couple of things that have shown up in the last 24, 48 hours that might lean you towards picking Mississippi State in this game. I'll tell you what those are in just a few minutes, but first I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you need better sleep, your CBD store can help. Arthritis, anxiety for you or your pet, your CBD store can help there. They've helped multiple pets in my house be able to move around just a little bit better with arthritis. They can do the same for you. If you need to focus a little bit better throughout the course of the day, they have products that can help you with that. Your CBD store, largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer on planet Earth. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. Weight loss, the Trim by SunMed. They got it now. And all those products are going to have the stamp seal on them. Check out one of the 4 locations. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, and now downtown at 5 Points, your CBD store, where good health hits home. All right, back with more of the SEC matchups this weekend, and a reason there may be some hope for the Mississippi State Bulldogs Saturday morning. Next on Mac and Cube in the morning. What is this? Hill Street Blues?
It's close.
Damien's like, what is that?
Oh, he's bobbing. I see him. Even though it's like 50 years before his time.
Hey, Damien, did you find the tweet from that guy that said, I'll never pick Auburn? And respond to him, send him that segment of the show?
I'll find him.
Well, his
Daniel.
message worked because you just picked
Jim
Auburn
Bob.
when you were leaning Arkansas all week. So it worked.
Let me tell you my confidence level in taking Auburn this week. 0. I don't feel good about it at all. I just think being at home, and you've talked about it before, Greg, like Hugh shows up in these games. Like he seems to find a way to get something done a lot of times. And that's kind of where I lean that he and his staff get together, put something together that maybe is just a little bit different, that can find a way to get it done. But I'll also tell you this, if there is a team that I've seen come in and provide more weird losses in that stadium, this is the team that's come in there and done it. Now, it's usually been a little bit earlier than 2:30, and there's been a running back named Fred that's gone for about 280. But, Jackson is probably more talented than Fred Talley and Fred Jones and all the other Freds they've had over the years. So
history's on their side.
We'll see how that goes. Bowling Green, Texas A&M. I don't think that's one we need to spend a lot of time on, even though Connor Bazelak is the quarterback for Bowling Green. Aggie should be fine there.
They took Penn State to the wire 2 weeks ago, bro.
Okay. Akron is at South Carolina, 6:30 on ESPNU. I don't think that's one that we have to really discuss either.
We just saw a MAC school beating an SEC school last week.
Yeah, but this is Akron. They do have a win, though.
Are you sure it's Akron or is it Akron?
Akron.
They beat Colgate last week.
See?
31-20.
And you
The
just
Gate?
don't roll into the Gate like that, dog.
Wow.
You don't just knock off Ivy League schools.
Akron and Young Jeezy. Okay.
Hey,
Are they an Ivy League school?
Is Colgate an Ivy League school?
I'm going to say no.
Colgate.
Listen, if there's one person you should never trust with knowledge of Ivy League anything, it's probably me.
No,
Failed math
liberal
3
arts
times.
They are in the
College.
Patriot League.
Same.
Yeah.
What's the difference, honestly? Literally, what's the difference? Patriot and Ivy League?
Patriot
Villanova,
League.
Maine.
Yeah.
Probably
About
a
to say,
comma in your 401k.
Holy Cross.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're saying Patriot League people are poor? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Sounds like it.
Actually, yeah. You know what? That is exactly what I'm saying. Endowment, American
League.
University, $708 million. Bucknell, 801. Lafayette, 693.
Okay.
Harvard, 60
Loyola,
billion. We know. Whatever.
308. Let's go look up. Yeah.
Let's
all right.
not.
So the highest
Don't care.
highest is Boston University at
Is that Ivy League?
3.3B. No,
Oh, BU.
3.3B.
I feel like that's
Let's-
good.
I'm just hang on a second. I'm not done yet. Let's take a peek at the end. Oh, yep, yeah, definitely not Ivy League. The lowest Ivy League is Dartmouth at 8B. Among others of consideration.
The poorest
Actually, take
Ivy
that
League
back.
school.
Brown is the lowest at 6.2B. But you have Yale at 41B, Princeton at 34B, Penn at 21B, Harvard at 50B. So, yeah, nope, can confirm Patriot not rich
Not
like
breaded.
Ivy.
Not breaded.
You know what the Ivy League should do is take out a number 2 pencil and erase the B and replace it with an NIL, and maybe they'd be a little bit better in football. But hey,
That money's
That's
right
Not all of
there.
us
That's
are
on
going
y'all.
pro in something other than sports.
well, and we know they're not going pro in sports very often, so good for them. We'll see if the non-Ivy League Akron Zips can challenge South Carolina or any of these other non-conference games like Georgia Southern at Ole Miss. Georgia Southern, listen, they can push the ball down the field. They have an offense that can go. I imagine they slow the tempo down a little bit in this game. You don't want to try to match that with Ole Miss defensively. I think it's going to be a problem for Georgia Southern. I don't think they have the horses to be able to slow down what Ole Miss is
I
going to
don't know why you wouldn't want to just play Ole Miss's game if you're Georgia Southern. Like, why don't you say, hey, you know what? That's fine. You guys can tempo. We can tempo too. We'll just play you right at your game, and we'll win that track meet. Come on, Clay Helton.
Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay. YouTube search Jocks945 if you're wondering what we're talking about. 7
I'm
p.m.
plugging in my computer so it doesn't die.
ESPN Plus.
just got the old warning. Low bat, a little tight.
UL
bat
Monroe
warning.
is at Texas. Hey, Monroe's
Hey.
2-0. Give him credit. General Booty rolling in.
Archer Manning making his first start. He's a young guy.
I
making
feel
his first start.
fine. At home,
You never know.
against his
feel
hometown university.
I will
Home
say
State
this
University?
defense gives you a lot of looks. They're aggressive. They do a lot of different things. But this is also a really good offensive line with a tight end that can offer a lot in the blocking game. I'm not.
So you
not
tell me
worried
there's a
about that.
chance?
No,
Okay.
there's not. I don't think there is. Just like I don't think there's a chance Ohio knocks off Kentucky.
You are
Even though they have a better
disrespecting the
record
MAC.
than the Wildcats right now.
The MAC.
They have a better record than the Wildcats.
Return of the
2-1, taking on 1-2, 11:45 SEC Network. We have seen Kentucky be sleepy in some of these games, though. So maybe that is a little cause for concern. And also, keep in mind, what did we just talk about a couple of segments ago of who might be good this year? South Alabama. Who did Ohio beat 2 weeks ago? South Alabama.
Hey.
Also knocked off Morgan State last week. Not Morgan and Morgan, but Morgan State. So legally, they're good.
They are.
Heard that.
Okay. Florida at Mississippi State.
Oh, boy.
Couple things that you need to know about the Florida Gators. Apparently, it wasn't an eye issue. Eugene Wilson had surgery and is going to be out for this game. Also, Joey Slackman, who, if you listen to PFF, is the highest rated returning defensive lineman in the SEC coming into this year, who had never taken a snap in the SEC. But that makes perfect sense.
That's why he's the highest.
So, Slackman out, Eugene Wilson
He's 0 for
out.
0.
There it is. Both these teams 1 and 2, Greg. Florida has had more bright spots than Mississippi State has this year. Where are we on this game at 11 a.m. on ESPN?
I really don't know. I think it'll be high scoring. I think Florida's way better than.
If it's going to be high
Mississippi
scoring, though,
State.
would you not trust State's offense a little bit more if it turns into
No.
that? Okay.
No. I like Florida in this game a lot, but I also there is a question with me, and there's conflicting reports. Like, are the players all in still? Like, I mean, that's a question mark for me, because I happen to think that if they show up and want to play, they will win the game convincingly. But I don't know if that's the case. I really don't.
No, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of people are wondering that because of what I just read about the availability report, and there are certain individuals that people are wondering why they're there, and I guess to the tune of what got them there. And so we'll see. I'm starting to lean Mississippi State in this one just a little bit. I think it's one that you're starting to see blood in the water a little bit. You start thinking, oh, we have a chance. Like, these guys might not want to be out here. I think this game, I'm going to tell you honestly, I think this game comes down to who gets off to the best start. Because the other team's momentum and resolve will probably disappear fairly quickly.
Makes sense.
So can you get a big play? Can you put a long drive together, especially if it's a long drive? And not that State's a team that is going to put together a lot of 12 and 15 play drives. That would more likely feel like it would be Florida, specifically with how State's played run defense. But that could be one where I would see the other team just being like, you know what? I'm good.
Well, the other thing I would say, too, is this might be one for Mississippi State, like working in your favor, like you just alluded to. This might be one where Mississippi State's like, this might be the only one we can get, boys. We got to get this one in the SEC. So unless they want to go potentially, 1-7, 0-8, this is one they got to get. So maybe urgency just slightly on the side of Mississippi State, knowing that Florida still has a bunch of big opportunities in front of them to knock off some of their rivals, because they're playing spoiler now at this point.
No, I would agree. All right, John, Damian? I'm going State. I don't know why, but I'm going Mississippi State.
I'm going Florida.
Okay. John?
It's at home. I'll go Florida.
Okay. All right. Greg?
Makes sense to me. I'm going Florida. I just think they're going to be able to run the ball. I'm just not sold on Mississippi State's defense at all.
It's totally fair.
I think
see
they
both quarterbacks.
I could see it happen.
Do you think we see both
All of the
quarterbacks?
All of them?
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Probably not for Mississippi State, but for Florida, yeah. If they got one, put him in. Just let him see what he can do. Tonight, Greg, I want to run through a couple national games quickly before we head to break. Come back with multiple all-timer bad box scores of the day. Illinois and Nebraska, 7 p.m. Big Boy Fox. Which way are you going?
I'm going Nebraska.
Because they're at home?
No. I think Nebraska has a little more juice. I think Nebraska is a little better on the defensive front. And while Illinois is going to play a ton of man and force Raiola to make some throws, I think he can make them. So I think Illinois has to turn Nebraska over to win. And I don't think Nebraska will turn it over.
How about this? I trust Illinois' offense more than Nebraska's.
What?
And I think Illinois
I don't have any
wins
problem with
tonight.
that.
I think Illinois
Who's got
wins
better
tonight.
defense?
Probably Nebraska, but I don't think either is
so,
elite.
Fine. I trust Nebraska's defense more than I trust Illinois' defense.
This isn't Grant Wistrom in the black shirt defense. So, I mean, it's not like I think they're going to shut them down for 4 quarters. But either way.
Inching closer.
Getting there.
They're leaning that way.
Getting there. What should people expect from your game? 11 a.m. ABC, NC State at Clemson. Is there a lot left in this NC State team?
I think they're better than you realize, but I still think there's just so many question marks with them. Defensively, you'll remember this name, Donovan Kaufman.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Auburn.
You know, him along with the other safety, they've just not played well. And in this defense, you got to play well, and you got to play well at safety. You have to, because they put a lot on their safeties. They haven't been good there. The corners have been a little banged up, hoping that they are healthy. But I think it's got a chance. I thought that it'd be Clemson comfortably until I watched the Appalachian State game last night. And watching the Appalachian State game last night makes me think, man, App's got a lot more issues defensively than I thought. And while Clemson ran over them, or ran through them like a hot knife through butter, maybe that was as much about App as it was about Clemson. And I think there's some carryover from that performance that will be beneficial, but also I think it can be a little misleading as well.
Okay. Quickly, we'll run through this one. USC at Michigan. Is this just USC? We feel great about Southern Cal getting this win?
I don't. I think it's going to be a dogfight.
What?
I think Michigan's going to I think Michigan might drop back and throw it 10 times. And that'll be about it. But they're going to pound away.
See, I'm kind of with Greg. I'm kind of with Greg here. I think when you change your identity to something that simplifies it and you know exactly what you are, that it can also motivate you a little bit more at the same time. And even though USC is a little better against the run, it's not like they're a bunch of glass eaters all of a sudden.
True.
They're not a bunch of war daddies.
But we've already found, is LSU good running the football?
Doesn't appear to be great. Maybe not terrible, but not great. And also didn't really try in that game. So
yeah,
don't really know. And I do think Michigan's front will cause problems. I do. And I don't think USC offensive line is not terrible, but they're not what Texas has. I think it's closer than people think, but I do think USC gets that win.
I think they get it, but it's going to be tight. I got to take the points all day.
Oak State get Utah at home?
Yeah, I'm going Oak State.
I'm going Utah.
You going Utah?
Utah.
Okay.
Even without Cam Rising.
John?
Cam Rising's going to
play. I mean,
if
there's a program that's used to not having a guy, it should be Utah used to not having Cam Rising.
No, I think
mean, it just I don't understand. Like why can't we get clarity out of that place? Like, supposedly all he had was a cut. Like, supposedly all it is a laceration. Like, I don't know what the deal is.
You got to be careful about stuff like that.
It's a laceration on like your throwing thumb. Yeah. That could maybe be a problem. I don't know.
No,
sounds like a baseball injury to me. So
no, that's like
I'm going Utah as well.
Wow.
I like that we're on so many different sides here. This is great.
I bet you are.
This is so good. All right. When we come back, multiple, and I mean multiple, bad box scores of the day. First, Greg, tell our listeners if they're moving out of their homes who they need to call.
Crocker Moving Services are a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether you need your whole home back to move your company headquarters across the country, or you just want them to come rearrange the living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. It's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
Right back with bad box scores of the day next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. 9:48, Friday, September 20th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Get to our Super Sofa game of the week here in just a moment. Also, but first, got to tell you about our friends, Gusty Gouls and the Gusty Gouls Group. If you're looking for a new home in the Birmingham area, Gusty Gouls Group, they've only served 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, brokered by eXp Realty. Recognized nationally, locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. 830-plus five-star Google reviews. Why would you not call the Gusty Gouls Group? 205-542-1996. 205-542-1996. Or just Google Gusty Gouls Group. See what people are saying. You can go to GustyGoulsGroup.com on your phone right now. Click the button at the top of the page. Find out your home's value with very little information. They want to help you. GustyGoulsGroup.com, 205-542-1996, and start packing today. Okay, every week on Friday, we pick one game that you get to watch. If that's the only one that you had to watch, that's it, the only one. It is our TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week. Should we take Tennessee, Oklahoma out?
I mean, your call.
I feel like it's a lazy default. And
I'm not watching that game anyways.
The one we would all, well, I'm not either because I'll be working. But
Greg will be on the way home, but yeah.
But yeah, we'll take that one out. If it weren't for that, if that game was off the table, TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week for me would be Auburn and Arkansas. We kind of hit it when we previewed it. There's so many avenues of uncertainties, so many things that we feel like could go well or might go terribly for both teams. There are big playmakers that are sometimes there, sometimes not there for both of these teams. Schematically, Auburn's offense, what's it going to look like? What are they going to do? Auburn's defense, is it going to be different? So that, to me, would be my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week.
Good choice. Winner finishes 11th in the SEC.
Yes.
Moving to a game with playoff implications, I will take Utah on the road at Oklahoma State.
Okay.
3 o'clock Central Time on Big Boy Fox. Utah, is Cam Rising going to go? And Oklahoma State, as a team that has traditionally leaned on the run, but this year it's really been more about the pass. It's been about Allen Bowman and 4 wide receivers. They got 4 good wideouts. They really do. And Ollie Gordon's been quiet. But after 3 games last year, he found his footing and ran for 100+ in every game but one, starting week 4 all the way through the postseason for Oklahoma State last year. So can they get back on track and win in the home field? Utah, Oklahoma State, 3 o'clock on Fox.
Damian?
Well, in the first time ever, in the Big Ten, we've got USC and Michigan. The defending national champions take it on USC. And crazy enough, it's on CBS. Still can't get used to that. 2:30, CBS, USC, Michigan. And to see if USC's defense is for real. See if they're ready for a fist fight.
See if they're ready.
Yeah, see if they're ready. That would be my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the weekend.
John?
For me, I guess I'm going to have a full weekend available because my game's tonight. Illinois taking on Nebraska in a ranked-on-ranked matchup that all of us saw coming. 7 o'clock on Fox. This
You
game
sure it's not Stanford at Syracuse? ACC clash?
I said what I said.
Okay.
Correct. The winner of this game, whether it's Baby Mahomes or Brett Bielema and the Illini, very sneaky, probably could be fighting towards a playoff spot with this win.
Whoa.
I don't think they can win the conference.
Whoa.
But both have the schedule ahead of them, whoever wins this, and the capability to potentially make it as an at-large.
I'm glad you went sneaky there because Greg is labeling this Sneaky Saturday.
Yeah.
Also sneaky tonight, Illinois, Nebraska, not the only 2 3-0 teams facing off because we all had San Jose State and Washington State at 3-0.
Let's go.
Right.
Not only had them at 3-0, but had them at 3-0 at 9 o'clock on the C-Dub.
On the what?
The C-Dub, right after Family Guy
AM
reruns.
or PM?
Oh,
Right
man.
after the Tow Truck Monsters, whatever that show's called. And Live Golf.
The C-Dub.
It's a lead into Live Golf.
Hey,
It's a great lead-in, though.
it is.
It is.
It is.
All right, that is your TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week. 2 football fields of furniture there at TD's Fine Furniture, and if you can hear them where you are, they'll deliver to you. TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton. All right, bad box scores of the day. There are a couple. I will start out quickly with our friends over at Harding. the
Warrens.
excuse me,
They're the
Hawks.
Warrens.
Bison,
Yeah, that was last.
knocking off the Arkansas. Is it Monticello?
Monticello.
Sure, that too. Nobody's getting this one. They're the Weevils.
Oh, I was going to Weevil.
No.
That's what they say. That's what they say at Auburn. Weevil, or
No,
whatever.
I think you're thinking of Dothan, the Boll Weevil Festival.
That's actually a good one, Greg. Good job.
This was
Got 'em.
63-3. I'm not going to go too much further into it. I just did want to point out also Harding in 3 games this year: 59-0, 59-7, 63-3.
Okay.
They are a living, breathing, walking, footballing bad box score.
It's all
over
done
there.
now. Okay.
They just I'm not going to go that far. All right, Southern Oregon.
They're the Badgers.
No.
Southern Oregon, SO. They are the Catamounts.
No.
Duckbill platypuses.
Your Raiders. They just snuck past the Simpson, California.
Springfields.
No, they're the Sharks.
Simpson, California, the Red Hawks.
Oh,
That's what I
And
think about it.
Southern Oregon snuck by them 70-7 last weekend.
Okay.
They outrushed them 241-98. Passing numbers, 395 to 71. So that's a total output.
They were balanced, 98 on the ground,
Yeah,
71
totally.
through the air.
Yes. What was unbalanced was the total yardage output, 636 to 169.
Ouch.
They were 5 of 14 on third downs. Southern Oregon, the Raiders, 8 of 8 in the red zone, by the way.
Perfection.
that's pretty good.
Yes.
Okay.
Quarterback Blake Asiato, 20 of 27, 354 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Oh, he was about it.
He was. Also, with a little bit of local flavor here, the North American,
Patriots.
it's a great guess, by the way. No.
Ooh. No, they're the Marauders.
Nah, they're the Stallions.
Oh.
And they did not perform like the Stallions we're used to watching in
Oh,
this
boy.
game because Greg, this is for you, Texas Wesleyan,
Oh,
we all think of this
I'll say-
animal as soon as we think of Texas.
the Copperheads.
No,
Are they the Dragons?
They're the Badgers.
they're the Rams.
Oh.
Texas Wesleyan snuck by North American 80-0.
Wow.
Wow.
Your first down differential was 31-7. They outrushed them 264 to 50, outpassed them 231 to 91. Now, the total yardage differential was 495 to 141. However, North American went 2 of 14 on third down, threw 4 interceptions and fumbled twice.
What?
Yeah. A little bit of different direction that they went in this game. So,
That's brutal.
yes. Finally, the Houston Christian Huskies knocked off Louisiana Christian 70-7.
Is that where Bailey Zappi went?
Houston Christian originally, yes.
Yeah.
They were 6 of 21 on third down, 1 of 7 on fourth down.
Oh my God.
In public?
Bailey Zappi ain't there anymore.